through shadows, lost in the night, searching for you in the fading lights. We had a fire, but now it's ash, holding on tight to a love that passed. I still feel you here, oh, and every beat so close. Holding on, but I know, oh, you're just a dream I can't let go. You're just a dream I can't let go. In the quiet you fade, but never really gone. In every beat, you're the rhythm, the song. A shadow lingering, a fire grown cold. Yet in this melody I still hold. You're just a dream I can't let go. In the quiet you fade, but never really gone. In every beat you're the rhythm, the song. A shadow lingering, a fire grown cold. Yet in this melody I still hold. Let go, let go, let go. Under the lights, but I'm feeling alone. Lost in the crowd, yet your ghost calls me home. Echoes of laughter, memories stay, but in my heart the colors fade away. I still feel you here, oh, and every beat so close. Holding on, but I know, oh, you're just a dream I can't let go. You're just a dream I can't let go.
Hello and welcome to a brand new series of virtual racing cars. We are here with the ProtoH Championship. Now it's an endurance format series with sprint racing, so we're going to see a lot of action on track. I am John Bednovich Harris, and joining me in the commentary box today I have Josh Richards alongside me. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to seeing these hypercars out on the track. We've got plenty of action to come, and yeah, it should be really exciting.
Yeah, we've got a lot of cars, and obviously with the Spa track on the calendar as the first race, it's going to be very, very entertaining with that long race down out of turn one, which is actually at the double turn of La Source up through Radion. So they're going to go flat out, hopefully flat out through those two turns and up the Kemmel Straight. So that's a very, very interesting difference compared to the Formula One track layout. Obviously, there are different things that we have to take into account on a racing series like this. So we have at the moment going on in the background the final minutes of practice. They have about 2 minutes remaining of practice, and then they will jump into a 15-minute qualifying session. After that, we will jump into a 1 hour and 15-minute race where there will be a mandatory pit stop, because quite simply they will run out of fuel if they don't make a pit stop. So that's a good incentive to make a pit stop, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you don't make a pit stop, you don't make the end of the race. It's definitely going to be interesting, though, seeing how people time that pit stop, how much fuel the drivers are adding, how much fuel they're saving as well. Maybe you can try and save a little bit extra fuel in the first stint, put a little bit less in the second stint, have your car slightly lighter, and that might help you out in that final stint.
Yeah, for sure. And so just to confirm the race calendar for you. So today, obviously, we're racing at Spa. And then on the 3rd of May, it will be Road Atlanta as well. Lovely track that is. Quite technical in certain places. So a lot of different sort of challenges for your driving style. So it'll be really interesting. Obviously, no balance of performance either. So the car that you choose is the car that you are stuck with. Although I will say I'd love to be stuck with any of these cars as they seem to handle like a dream from the few laps that I did. Then again, I'm not as good as the drivers that you're about to see today, that's for sure. And then on the 24th of May, we will be heading to Mexico, the Grand Prix layout for round 3, and then round 4, the finale, will be on the 7th of June at Watkins Glen, excuse me. And that is a track that I think these cars will be mega at with the fast sweeping corners. That's going to be one to watch.
Yeah, I think it's definitely interesting seeing how these cars perform around there. I mean, all the tracks really. It's a really great selection of tracks we have for these 4 races here. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how the drivers can get on.
Yeah, and talking about the drivers getting on, we have approximately 5 seconds remaining exactly in the practice session, upon which we can now switch to qualifying, and we'll be able to get you some footage very, very shortly as I figure out in the background exactly what's going to happen, because as you can imagine, with a game that's meant to be played in the first-person mode with one car, there's a few workarounds that need to be done. Those of you familiar with the Assetto Corsa will know exactly what I'm talking about, but we'll try and keep it as fluid as possible. So yeah, a lot of different cars that are to replicate the current cars in the Enduro series, in the World Endurance Championship, and I must say they look beautiful. They really do. The attention to detail of the cars is just immaculate. Every time I see them going around the track, I have to do a double take and think, is that the real car or is that the car that they've replicated? It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. And looking at the times as well in practice, we're looking for a very close qualifying, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the timing tables now. Yeah, the cars are very close together on the track. I think we could be seeing some very tight margins. One small mistake on your lap, that could cost you 3 or 4 positions potentially on the grid.
Yeah, indeed. Just for clarification, the reason why we're not showing footage of practice is because, well, it's a practice session. We think there's a lot of drivers just trying to get their bearings and all of that. So, you know, 2 or 3 spins in a row, we don't necessarily want to show that. But I am hearing that we will go straight to qualifying in a second. But in terms of just managing the cars, there's got a lot of let's say, differences to the Formula 1 cars. Obviously, you've still got the battery, but in essence, the aerodynamics are a lot different. You've got that closed canopy. Some of the cars don't even feature a rear wing. The French definitely were cooking something when they tried that. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any sort of oversteer maneuvers or any problems on the high-speed sections. I hope not for the drivers driving that car, but then again, they should have a good setup on it, and it should be okay. They definitely shouldn't have the same skill issue as I would have, right, Josh?
Yeah, well, I think me and you are the same. We both would be struggling out there, going through every single corner, probably having a good few spins. But yeah, these drivers, they'll have been practicing a decent amount. They'll have their setups ready as well, tuned to their specific car. So I don't think they're going to have too many issues like that. I think they're definitely going to be ready to get the racing underway.
Yeah, indeed, as we have just a few more drivers completing their practice laps. I think, go on board and show you exactly what is going on at the moment. Let me switch over. So, yeah, we've got the last few cars remaining as... There we go, we have the sound on the cars. Wonderful stuff. And, yeah, the cars just rounding their last bit of practice now. So, we'll be getting ready to go racing in a very short notice, but as you can see, a lot of drivers within very short amounts there, but Mr. Giovanni in first place there with a 0.7 of a second gap at the moment in practice. I know that people will say it's only practice, but at some point you have to look at the times sometimes, and from what I've seen from their practice a few days ago, they look like they're at one with the track at least.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the timing page as well, Ferrand in second, his pace has been looking pretty strong as well. I expect we're going to be seeing him up there potentially in the fight for pole position. But yeah, we are getting qualifying underway, I believe, now. And yeah, should be a very, very exciting session to come. 30 minutes on the clock. We've got a car heading out here onto track now as well, getting this qualifying session under the way.
It's Ferran Buller, the first driver out of the pits in that wingless car. And will they go immediately flat through Eau Rouge and Radion? Probably. It looks like that was taken quite easily flat. But with the majority of the downforce being produced by the underside of the car, a little bump or a little ride over the curb can really be unsettling for both car and driver. So you've got to really pay attention to what you're doing, and sometimes it's not worth going flat out over the curbs, especially if you're going to lose it at the top of Radion. And one thing to note as well, a difference, probably those of you more well versed in Endurance, although just a side note, I'd love to pay for a spot in that campervan park there near Brussels corner. But just to clarify also, there's no tire warmers, so drivers will have to warm their tires. We could see strategies maybe of drivers going for 2 laps, maybe 1 lap, then a cool down lap, then a second lap to set the best time, because I have been told that tires take multiple laps to get up to temperature. So it'll be interesting to see what drivers, what different strategies, let's say, the drivers choose to go with.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting as well. We could be seeing multiple hot laps in a row potentially. That could be a strategy as well. It's really going to be about getting yourself into that right window with the right conditions and making sure you don't make too many mistakes. Try and get that lap together. There's 30 minutes in the session, of course, so plenty of time to try and get that done. But coming down the back straight now, the first car getting ready to potentially start a first lap, although we might be seeing 1 or 2 out laps coming here in the next few moments.
Yeah, just getting those weaving just flat through Blanchiment, it sounded like, but weaving for the time being. And I tell you what, I love going on board with these cars. So let's get a little bit of onboard action as we start our first lap of this series. And all the way up to just turn 1, you've got to get very late on the brakes, probably trail braking quite a bit in here. Recovery of energy is very important during the race, less in qualifying. Oh, little lock of the brakes, I think, already wide, and that's not a brilliant start, and I think they've immediately aborted that lap, actually.
Yeah, I think so, but I mean, it's not too surprising. If the tire warming is going to be required, then yeah, it's maybe not the worst idea to abort your lap and go for another attempt. We have a couple of cars now starting their laps. Coming up, Radion now is Janst. Let's see what he can do as he makes his way down the Kemmel Straight now, getting past one of the cars here, stopped on the straight, just getting out the way and in towards the Lacombe chicane. Pretty decent on the brace, get the car turned in, try and use all the curb you can on the inside to get the car rotated in. Keep trying to carry that minimum speed, so crucial to keep that minimum speed as high as you can. And now down the hill in towards turn number 8, getting the car rotated. Big snap there as he got onto the brakes, though not ideal, might have cost him a couple tenths there onto the power once again through No Name Corner. Looking like an alright lap so far, 1 or 2 mistakes though, but let's see what he can do now as he heads down towards Pouhon.
Yeah, is it going to be flat? No, a little lift and a little twitch of the rear of the car. He had to correct that on the anchors a little bit, I presume, as well as just keeping to the track limit, so no invalidation there. The time should be turning red if it is invalidated, so we'll have to wait and see if that ever is the case. But, you know, this is looking like a tidy... Well, I say that, and then they go and lock up, and it was almost spinning off into the gravel at Stavelot. That's not exactly what you want to do. And with a 30-minute qualifying session, I guess the tempo is to get tuned into the car, how it feels. Obviously track conditions will be a little bit different to practice, and obviously you've got quite a few more cars out on track, so you've got to worry about if you know you're going to impede someone or if somebody's going to impede you, as this is looking like quite just over rotating. It's looking like the rear of that car just not sticking for the moment. The tires decidedly very cold as across the line. It is indeed still a time provisional first. Our first driver to set a, let's call it a representative lap, sort of. Yes, let's call it that.
Yeah, well, from what I can see, I believe he might be out there on a set of hard compound tyres as well. So maybe we're going to be seeing some more improvements. Giovanni 203.822 puts himself up to P1 now. He's out there on the medium tyres, purple first and second sector for him. So looking pretty decent as well. But yeah, let's see how they get on. Continuing on, we've got Hole up to P1 now. setting a 2.635, puts himself onto the provisional pole position as it stands. So pretty decent lap from him now.
Yeah, Mikael Hall, that's decidedly a great lap, it must be said. A lot of that time being gained in the first sector, it looks like. So, decidedly, just trying to... I think just having more confidence from the get-go. It's not always the case, however, that the driver with the most confidence gets the best lap time at the end of the session. Usually it's the drivers that are building up to it. As this is a cool name, Lewis Chapman. I'd love to have that kind of name. Wow. I'd lovely motorsport related name as they are in that gorgeous red. I want to call it the name. Oh, that's a spin-off. Whoa, 360. That was very close to the barriers. They've managed to recover it, but what a move right there. That was nearly chaos, and I think with damage being obviously enabled, that could have been a drastic end to the session already by one of our drivers there.
Yeah, that was very nearly a big crash. We've seen many crashes there up at the top of Radion. A very, very close call there. I believe both of them Chapmans. So, yeah, the two Chapmans nearly coming together. At the top of Radion, we've got another spinner. I think they're in the background as well, coming through Les Coms. But, yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a chaotic start to the qualifying session. But, yeah, the drivers so far getting through pretty cleanly.
Yeah, must admit, they are definitely, you know, getting to grips with it. You know, you've got to push the limits. When you've got only, say, like in Formula 1, 1 or 2 laps, you have to find the limit straight away and put in a decent time. And, you know, we see the times improve by maybe 2 or 3 tenths over the course of a session. The time differences will be a drastic improvement over this session because not only have they got more time, but the tires are a different compound. As over the gravel there, that's not the best for the other Chapman. So both Chapmans in the walls, but in the wars, sorry, but not in the walls. There you go. There's a tongue twister for you.
Yeah, we've got Mikkel Hole back into P1 as well. He set a 2:01.721 for himself, putting himself that little bit further up as well. But yeah, we are seeing quite a few times up at the front of that field. Slowly but surely, the drivers are improving.
Yeah, they are, and the times are definitely getting into that sort of window. A lot faster. Oh, well, Chapman has gone for another spin at the end, and that is a return to the pits, as that is quite a disastrous start to the session. Thomas Jansch across the line, I don't think he improved. The timing is this side, I think, of the pit straight. I'm not quite sure, but we'll have to wait and see whether the timing updates. No, I think he'd already completed his lap, so it is at the F1 start-finish line that the times are registered, but the race will be started on that downhill section. So yes, just clarifying the rules, I guess, for myself. Sometimes the commentator gets muddled up in between production. It happens. There's only so many brain cells about to do all of these things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 20 minutes left to go, also a little bit longer than that in this qualifying session. So we're only about a third of the way through here, and we're already seeing drivers getting into those 2-minute 1 times. Could be getting a little bit lower than that as well. Still plenty of drivers yet to improve, and quite a few of the drivers still with their times on medium or hard tyres. There's definitely going to be some improvements to come there. Across the line, is this to finish a lap? Are we getting a time here?
I don't think it was an improvement. I do not think, because I still have 2:03.08 on the leaderboard, so I don't think that was an improvement on lap time there, sadly.
Yeah, 4 minutes is the previous lap, so I guess that was either a warm-up lap or an out lap, but this should be a push lap now for Giovanni as he makes his way.
He has cut the corner.
Back to the pit lane?
Back to the pit lane, yeah. Indeed. That was an abort moment for that driver, as we've got our pole sitter in the pits right now. Sorani is doing quite well at the moment to try and chase that time. Still 0.3 of a second to find, though. So that first lap from Mikael Hole is looking to hold up at the moment. That was no pun intended, by the way.
Yeah, well, there's still definitely time to find marginally up through that first sector on his previous best as well, finding 100th or so. But middle sector, this sector 2, there's so many corners here. You've got to make sure you carry the speed. This is where you can really start to find some time in your lap if you have that downforce, if you have the confidence as well to carry the speed, take the momentum through. You can really find a good few tenths of a second. And this sector really could be the make or break sector. The heavy braking zones as well down at turn 1, turn 5, and the final chicane as well. Those ones could be crucial too, but let's see once he gets to the end of the middle sector how he's getting on through Pool, and a little bit cautious on the exit, still not going all the way out to those track limits, leaving himself a bit of breathing space in towards the Fanya chicane, as we have an improvement up at the front to 2:01.439 for Ferrand. Puts himself up at the front now, a couple tenths clear, a bit of a snap there. Unfortunately for Soriani as he makes his way through. Now, has he aborted this lap? Are we continuing on?
It doesn't sound flat out. No, he's 1.6 seconds down on his time, so that is an aborted lap, sadly. Thomas Jansch, oh, huge snap of oversteer through speed corner. Incredible save, and that is one good thing about these cars. They are very, like, playful but quite stable unless you're trying to really push the limits. So a good save there, good driving qualities, but yeah, this is the type of action that you'll be seeing side by side hopefully during the races. Hopefully no snap oversteers into other cars. It does happen though, and with these long sweeping corners at Spa, there's a lot of opportunities for overtaking, especially if you put a wheel on the gravel like that.
Yeah, not ideal, but let's see. Down at the back straight now, how is the pace looking for the driver who currently sits in P4? Can he find himself another couple positions to try and get himself up into that fight at the front? Let's see what he can do. 18 minutes now left to go in this qualifying session. Let's see now in towards the bus stop chicane. How much speed is he carrying? How confident is he going to be on the throttle as he gets the car rotated in? Onto the power now and up towards the start-finish line. What time is it going to be for Thomas Jansch? Goes up to P3 at 2:01.782. Nice time on the board and very close there to the P2 time as well.
Yeah, that time by Buller, though, is holding up at the moment. I think he's on another push lap here. It looks like it. So we'll stay on board with him at the moment. Must admit, I love this on board. I love watching the car through the corners. You can really see the little snaps, the little corrections from the driver. And it just makes it look so much more dynamic than it does from the trackside cameras. Although it looks pretty spectacular from those as well. Oh, a little bit on the curb there. Had to lift off through curve Paul Frere, and that means that will cost them speed all the way down this straight. Now the battery does work as far as I know in Assetto Corsa, so you are able to deploy the battery. Maybe he'll deploy, no, he's definitely on a holds lap at the moment, regenerating battery, regenerating tire temps. He might go again, let's see. Yeah, it looks like he's preparing for another push lap here, so the tires in good operating window, but you know, there's only so much you can do. Just to repeat, there is no balance of performance, or balance of power, I should say, in the in this series. So the performance of the car is what you're given, and you just got to make the most of it. But you know, each car will fit a different driving style, so you will have had to practice the cars a little bit and find out what works for you best. All the way over the curb at Radion, that was pretty spotless in terms of flawless technique through that sequence of corners.
Yeah, I mean, 4 of the 5 cars are represented in that top 4, so it clearly, in the top 5. It clearly shows how competitive these guys are. They can really put the laps together. Antonio Giovanni goes up to P1 now. So that's a 2:01.063. Now sits just about 4 tenths clear. Up at the front of the field, he's starting to set that pace. On the medium tyres, Buller on the soft. So a bit of a mix in the compounds. We could be seeing some more times improving later on if they do choose to go for a set of the soft compound tyres. Down towards Pouillon we go now with the Paggio driver as he flicks it in through the double left, carrying the speed, getting on the power. Got a bit of traffic up ahead, heading into the Fanya chicane. Hopefully they get out the way in time, giving them the flash of the lights. But I think this is going to cost him a little bit of time, unfortunately. Yeah. And that might be his lap over.
It might be. That's a shame because he was one. Yeah, it's not possibly going to be the lap that he wanted. He was 1/10 up after sector 1, still a 10th up, but lost a tiny bit of time in sector 2. But it was that snap of oversteer on the last lap, and I think I heard a lift there. That I think is lap aborted. Yet the speed is dropping. So at the moment, Di Giovanni is at the top of the leaderboard, as Mikkel still not improving either, still a 2 minute 1 second 0.7 for third place. So a lot of drivers on push laps now. We'll try and keep on a track of everything, but with 20 drivers on track, there's a lot of action to keep up with.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy with all the drivers we have out there, but there are plenty of times being set, plenty of improvements being made, and now just about halfway through the session, we can start to see some of the representative pace being set up at the front of the field. Hopefully we can have a very exciting fight at the front for that pole position. We're still seeing more improvements up at those front few drivers as well. Sriani finding some time, I believe, through the first sector, 0.8 of a second up, I think, as it stands. Let's see how he's looking through this middle sector split. If we get a delta, I'm not sure,
I don't think we're getting
he
a
is
delta.
looking very, very strong here, heading down towards the bus stop. Could be looking to potentially get in there in the fight for P2 as it stands. Maybe if he can find some time as well on the run down towards the bus stop through Blanchimont now. Maybe there's a bit of a potential chance at a provisional pole position on the board here for the 51 car in towards the bus stop now, late on the brakes. Does he find the time? Can he get the run up towards the line? Trying to get the exit a little bit wide there as he gets on the power now up towards the line. Is it enough to try and challenge for the P1 position across the line? Only P3, but he is once again very close up there and right in contention for P2 as well.
Good improvement, though, it must be said, with for the Forenzo car. That's a pretty decent, what was it, 4 or 5 tenths of a second? So that's quite a big time to find in one lap, as Thomas Janch, I think, just starting a lap here. So another driver that we can head on board with. I do love heading on board with our drivers. Lots of camera angles to choose from as well, but I think this is my preferred one. What about you, Josh?
I mean, yeah, all the camera angles looking really great. This one is really useful, especially when we're riding on with a hot lap. When we get into the racing action as well, it's going to be very exciting. Effectively sitting on board with the drivers. But yeah, let's see how these guys get on then. Up through Radion now, on towards the Camel Straight. Let's see, is he going to find time through this first sector? Target time 34.299 through the split now. Is he finding any time here? 0.3 of a second down, not an ideal start to the lap. He might potentially think about aborting this one and trying to go for another attempt.
Yeah, so Bühler improves, I think, there to a 2 minute now. We're not 2 minute 1, we're 2 minute and 9 tenths of a second. So the gap has come down now for everybody else. They're going to have to push a little bit more. And it's looking like a 2-horse race at the moment between Bühler and Di Giovanni. So we will have to wait and see. But still, 12 minutes remaining in the session. That's a lot of time, isn't it, to get maybe try a different set of tires as well. I'm seeing some different tire strategies, although the mediums seem to be the favored tire for this qualifying session. I guess the high temperatures, the sunny conditions might be playing a factor in that, as the soft, by the time you've got them up to temperature, paradoxically, you've lost that initial great phase of grip, as there's a driver off there. I'm not exactly sure who it is, but I think that was Lasser there in 18th place that has just gone for a little bit of a spin, as we keep on board with Thomas Jansch, flat out through Blanchimont, shifting up through Blanchimont. You have to have a little bit of courage to do that, braking nicely for, I call it still, the bus stop chicane, and taking a nice wide line to maximize traction on the exit. Lovely traction. It's not going to challenge the front runners, and indeed it's not an improvement, sadly.
Yeah, unfortunate for him, stays in P5 for the time being, a 2 minute 2 seconds there. I believe it was for Jansch, but let's see, we've got Urbanowski coming through towards the final few corners. Can he find improvement here on his lap? 2 minutes 9 tenths of a second is the target time for the drivers to beat. A bit of a snap there as he got onto the power, out to the final corner now, up towards the line. I'm just looking at the time, actually. He's starting a lap here, he's not finishing a lap, so this is not going to be an improvement at all for Stanislas. But let's see, is anybody else out there getting ready to improve on their times? We have got quite a few drivers, I think, on push laps at this current moment, but whether they're going to be improving, whether they're getting towards the end of their laps, to keep an eye on how they're getting on. We have got Lucas Werner coming up here, up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Let's see how he can get on. Currently sits on a 2:03 here in this qualifying session. Going to be looking to find a bit of time here on his lap as well. Down the Kemmel straight. Let's see how this first sector is looking. 34.0, your target time here through the split. How much time is he losing? 0.3 of a second down relatively, but can he carry a bit more speed here through the next section of corners? Try and close in a little bit and get a bit closer to the drivers at the front of the field.
Yeah, it's just a little bit tricky to just get that sort of maximum pace out of all of these corners. There's so many high-speed corners that effectively you just cannot push each one to 100% with such sort of difficult tires to work with on the opening laps. This is looking like actually quite a stable lap. Maybe not the quickest we've seen, but probably the most in control. But that's the thing with qualifying, is that out of control sometimes can be slower, sometimes smooth can be better, especially with perhaps a sort of like heavier car. Yeah, these cars are not exactly as light as the Formula 1 cars, so you've got to just work with it, and it's looking like this lap is a little bit of a disaster. 1.5 seconds off the pace, but still would be an improvement for Werner, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, he currently sits quite a way off the pace up at the front of the field, around 2 seconds off the pace. So 1.5 seconds, if he can maintain that through this final sector, would be a bit of an improvement. Could find him a couple positions, maybe get himself up in the fight for P8 potentially. Let's see as he comes through the bus stop now. Onto the power up towards the line. Where does this lap put him? Across the line up to P9 at 2:02.938 for him. 2 seconds off the pace up at the front, but finding an improvement nonetheless.
I think Bennett's improved as well, or no, it looks like they've gone for a spin, so they are waiting to rejoin. Something happening there. So a driver in trouble and getting going now. Not exactly sure what was happening. Maybe getting out of the way of people after spinning, perhaps. Yeah, it looks like a spin happening. We've got Buller on another lap here, so let's see if that's going to be an improvement. I've noticed, but perhaps this isn't a push lap because they weren't using all of the curb on the exit. Maybe some drivers learning. Oh no, it does look like a push lap. I take it back. The Peugeot really swapping ends into the last couple of turns, and across the line it won't be an improvement, but it was very close. I think that last chicane was enough to put them 0.2 of a second behind. Will they go for another push lap? Who knows? What's Di Giovanni doing? This is looking like a very committed lap over the top of radial.
Yeah, well, let's see what he can put together now. Still right in there, up at the fight for pole position. 0.07 of a second off the P1 time through the first sector. How is this lap looking for the Cadenza driver? Looking pretty decent so far, getting through a bit of traffic there to navigate through, but I don't think that's going to put him off too much as he powers his way now down the hill towards turn 8, braking as you go downhill and turning the car in all at the same time. Such a tricky corner to get right. Get the load on the tyre so you don't lock up, and make sure you're turning enough and can get on the power early enough. Through No Name corner now, onto the power, down towards Pouon. Looking like a nice, neat and tidy lap so far for the driver sitting in P2, but is it going to be enough to try and challenge for pole position? 7 minutes left to go in this qualifying session now.
Yeah, it's crunch time. It's realistically the time where you have to get out on a fresh set of tyres and try and, well, just do your last couple of laps, get them up to temperature, get yourself in the zone. The track is looking very busy at the moment, it must be said. Every driver, I think, realizing that some of them not getting, especially for the Chapman brothers, they need to find some pace after their earlier incidents. It can be quite difficult, can't it, after a difficult qualifying session, as I don't think Giovanni's on a push lap at the end of this one. I think he's backed out of it, but we'll stay on board with him in the hopes of catching a push lap. For the moment, yes, it looks like he's about to start a push lap, so it'll be interesting to see the performance here. But yeah, it can be very, very difficult once you've made a mistake, that sometimes, you just can't find that form, you can't find that practice zone that you want to get into. And on such a long lap, and with so many braking points and big turn-in zones where you have to carry the speed of the car and just hope that it doesn't fishtail on you, it can be so tricky to just go 110%, and then you've got the race afterwards. That just compounds the issue, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have maximum commitment, especially in qualifying. One small mistake, if we're looking at the timing tower right now, could be the difference of 2 or 3 positions potentially. So you've really got to be on it. You've got to make sure you put your lap together when you need to get it together right at the end of the session, when the grip is at its optimum stage, when you're fully at your optimum confidence as well. And then heading into the race, you've got to be prepared, you've got to be ready, you've got to be confident in your control of the car. Otherwise, you're going to start to struggle with the racing aspect as well once you've got other cars to focus on as well, not just your own. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult for the drivers, but yeah, let's see how they get on. So it's 5 minutes left to go in qualifying as the time slowly but surely ticks its way down. Bula currently sits at the top on a 2:09. We have Antonio Giovanni 2:01.0 for him, Hole on a 2:01.2. So we've only got a couple tenths of a second covering those top 3. Still more drivers as well out there improving on their laps, looking to find some more time. Giovanni through the middle sector, half a tenth of a second up. He is looking to find some time here to potentially try and challenge for the provisional pole position. Can he try and potentially sneak into those 2-minute 0.8s? Is that going to be a possibility as he makes his way through Blanchimont now? One car in front of him. Hopefully they won't get in the way as he makes his way towards the bus stop chicane now. Is it going to be enough onto the brakes now? Rotates the car in through the right-hander and the left as well. Get onto the power, feed the throttle in, up towards the start-finish line. For Giovanni, is it pole position across the line? What time's he set? 2 minutes, 0.751. He goes a tenth and a half further clear up at the front of the field. Snatches provisional pole position with just 4 minutes left to go in this session. He might just about have enough time to go for one final run here as well. And looking like we could have a very competitive fight for the pole position now as well. Most of our top drivers now, I think, on cool-down laps, but yeah, looking very, very strong for Giovanni. And yeah, let's see how he gets on.
Going back briefly to Bula, I think they're about to start a lap as well. But yeah, so many drivers improving at this point. There's a lot of people, I think, that are just taking the time to get used to the car. Maybe even trying some different setups and different tweaks to the car. Over the course of a lap, that can gain you multiple tenths of a second. So it can be, you know, that kind of thing where you want to maybe sacrifice qualifying, paradoxically, to get a last minute change so you feel more comfortable in the race. Because once you start the race, you're locked in for 1 hour 15 minutes, and if you're not comfortable with the car, that can be so devastating. As let's see the first sector for Buller coming up in just a few seconds time. We'll have to wait and see. Is it going to be an improvement? Will we get the sector time? I don't think we've got the sector time, but we will have to check again. No, it looks like they backed out of this lap. Perhaps they're going to encounter traffic as well, which is not good for them at all. That's committed, and that's a lovely sound, isn't it? I think that's a V10 that I hear. What a noise from the Arden.
Yeah, a great car making its way now through towards the end of the middle sector. Is he going to be able to find some time, try and get himself right up there in the fight at the front? Currently sits P7, bit of a lock up there as he makes his way through Stavolo onto the power now, making his way through 0.7 of a second down on our P1 time, but that would still put him on for a 0.4, could be in for the fight for the second row of the grid. Let's see what he can do now, powering his way through Blanchimont down towards the bus stop chicane. Is there time to find here as he gets through the final few corners of the 35 car onto the brakes? Can he find the improvement he needs?
Oh, it's a little bit of a lock-up, but it's a front tyre, so that's okay. You kind of expect it in the changing road surface there. Across the line, it's a 2:01.7, so I think that's a tiny improvement, but I don't think that improved his position, paradoxically. So he's remained, I think, in 7th place there. That looked like a very committed lap, and that does look like their last lap, as they're not going to have enough time to get around the track once more. So some drivers already on their last lap of this qualifying session.
Yeah, a couple of crashes happening out there with some of the drivers as well, so not great. Some of the drivers struggling, maybe with some traffic as well, but they continue on making their way through, getting ready for their final few laps here. The drivers up at the front of the field, gonna try and find those final couple tenths of a second. Can we see a driver getting even further clear, maybe into the 0.6s, maybe even the 0.5s in their fight for the pole position? Bennett's making his way now through the Fania chicane, trying to carry that speed through. How much time can he find? 28.9 is the fastest times we've seen through the first two sectors. Where is he sitting? Couple seconds off of that. He sits down in P11 on 3.3 currently, so a little bit of a way off the pace. Might be able to find potentially 1 or 2 positions with this lap. We'll get some sort of idea. 30 seconds on the clock, so he might just about have enough time if he has the tyres, the fuel, everything in the optimum window to go for one final lap. But it is going to be his final attempt. The checker flag will fly in just 15 seconds time. A bit of a lock up there as he makes his way through the bus stop. Big snap of oversteer as well. That's not going to help him with his lap time and across the line. It's going to be a 2:04.283. That's not going to be improvement for the 39.
No, sadly not, and I think just locking up into that last chicane and just not nailing the apex on either of those corners was the last sort of nail in the coffin for that lap, to be honest. You know, it can be very, very difficult if you've got the tyres in the wrong operating temperature or not up to temperature, as I think this is potentially one of our last drivers on the track, Projan. So in 12th position at the moment, as it looks like most people are in the pit. So it looks like Di Giovanni has got pole position as Buller is in the pits, and most of the drivers that have been close up to this point have abandoned their laps. So Di Giovanni, then Buller, then Hall, then Surani, then Jansch, then Balazzo, then Urbanov, Merino, Werner and Moelma complete the top 10, but can Prodan get himself into the top 10? Let's see, across the line. Yes, it's an improvement, P8, and that leaves just 2 drivers, Chapman and Bennett, on track. Also Andrade as well, that I've just spotted in 17th place, sorry. And oh god, that is Bennett, I think, off the road perhaps. We will double check. Yeah, Bennett abandoning that lap. That's not going to be an improvement, but can Lewis Chapman improve? Oh, huge snap of oversteer, and in fact it looked like a 4-wheel drift at that point through the corner, so not the ideal positioning through there, especially again more lockups wide on the apex all the way over the curb, not nabbing the gravel though, so carrying good speed, good entry and exit to that corner should be quite good. Let's see if they can go flat through Blanchimont. There's still an opportunity to improve here, with about say a window of 2.5 seconds. It could be still enough for a top 10. Let's see this last chicane, possibly the most technical part of the track. Huge lockup on both front tires, I think, briefly, and quite tidy on the exit though. Oh, taking a load of curb across the line. Is it going to be an improvement? No, it's not. 2/10 off of his personal best, and I think that leaves Andrade, but Andrade has abandoned their lap, so that means that Bennett going into the pits is our last driver. And that means that the qualifying session is indeed complete, with Giovanni taking pole, Biller in second, Mikael Hall in third. If I can get their full names up, I have lost my timing, so maybe you can help me out, Josh.
Yeah, we got Andres Sriani in 4th, Thomas Jans in 5th, Sami Belazuk 6th, Stanislas Urbanowski in 7th, Faya Prodan in 8th, Diego Marino in 9th, Lucas 1 rounding out the top 10. We've got Lucas Molman 11th, Lewis Chapman, Adam Bennett, Panigod. I'm going to be honest, I don't know how to say some of these names. I'll give it my best shot. I'm really struggling here. I'm not sure if you've got your timing up yet. But yeah, it's a very competitive fight here. I'm really looking forward to this race.
Panagiotis Mazarakis, I'm going to say. There you go. That's my best pronunciation. Joao Andrade in 15th, Divinity Eduardo, there you go, I butchered the name as well, in 16th, Alex Hubscher in 17th, Axel Lasser in 17th there. There's been a slight switch around on the leaderboard here, not exactly sure what's happening there. Luke Jackson apparently has joined but hasn't set a time. We've got Dean Chapman in 19th place, and a few drivers that haven't set a lap time but that are joining for the race. So it looks like we will have 21 drivers on the grid to start the race, which is a good number, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting rolling start as well, heading down towards turn 1. It's going to be a bit of a chaotic one. We've seen many crashes on opening laps here at Spa, and we could be in for another one here tonight.
Yeah, indeed, we could be in for a very, very good race. It's going to be interesting to see, of course, turn 1 being, well, Eau Rouge and Radion. I don't see that going well somehow, but they do it endurance racing, so there must be a way to do it. We've seen multiple, drivers go side by side in endurance, but, more famously, you had Mark Webber versus Fernando Alonso in 2011, if I remember correctly. Michael Schumacher as well, versus, I think it was Bruno Senna or Juan Williams in 2012. From my memory up here a little bit, there is some of it. It's remaining. But yeah, it's going to be so interesting. Also, you've got the Kemmel Straight right there, so you've got to manage battery deployment. It's going to be a very, very interesting race, and one where I think the drivers will be getting used to it as much as we are, to be honest, as we are just waiting. I'm getting word that there might be a small delay to the start of the race, but we're just waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting race, especially the start. Nonetheless, slipstream down towards Slaycom as well. That's going to be an interesting dynamic. But the strategic management of this race, when you time your pit stop, when you use your battery, how you save your fuel in your tires as well, I think that's going to be something the drivers really have to play around with. It's going to be the first race here for the drivers as well, so they're not going to have all of the experience that they're looking for, I guess. It's definitely not going to be the most straightforward race at all. And yeah, gonna take a little bit of tweaking, I think, for the drivers as to how they manage this one.
Yeah, indeed. We're going to be loading in. I see the drivers loading in now to the race start. From what I understand, it will be a full formation lap and then a rolling start like in endurance racing. So they will have the chance to warm up the tires a little bit. From what I heard, it will be quite a speedy lap, because you have to go quite fast to get the tires up to temperature. So there won't be a safety car as per se. It will be just the lead driver, Di Giovanni, that will set the pace throughout the lap. Every car was to remain behind the car in front of them. Obviously, no overtaking, and then a 2-file format. So hopefully, we will get underway just now for the formation lap. There we go. And as we have the safety car indications as well on screen, so that you can stay, and already a driver tagging the wall. That has not gone well. I think is that Chapman spinning? We've got a driver spinning on the start line. That has not gone well at all.
Looks to be Lucas Molman and Lucas Werner coming together at the start. Joandre also coming to blows with them as well. Couple drivers making contact on the start here. Not ideal at all for them. Not sure whether they've picked up damage, if we had a restart.
I think we've had a restart, yes, indeed.
Well,
quite understandable.
Not an ideal start. Yeah, not an ideal way to start off the race here. The 1 hour 15 race we're going to be having here at Spa-Francorchamps. Oh, I think maybe they were in the wrong formation potentially, because we're now seeing double foul at the top, and I think it said single foul a moment ago. So maybe there was a bit of an error
for indications. Let's put it that way. We are furiously checking race chats to. We're seeing also some apologies, it must be said, to that aborted race start there. So luckily, every driver will be able to just get back into the flow of things. As you can see, the top of the race timer there, 10 seconds left to go. So they'll be able to just hopefully get off the line without any incidents. Let's see. As a few drivers impatient at the back there, and everybody gets the car going. I think a lot of people slipping the clutch there a little bit, maybe. It's not something you really want to do when you've got an endurance race to do. You don't want a dodgy clutch during the entire race, and there we go. So Di Giovanni leads the formation lap from Bühler, obviously, and Sorani is in third place there. So it'll be interesting to see how the top three, if they want to attack or if they want to sort of stay back a little bit, because I think we saw during qualifying that the tires were a little bit peaky in performance, weren't they? We had a lot of drivers having a lot of oversteer and maybe overheating the tires. Will that have any ramifications in the race? Your guess is as good as mine. As you can see, the aggressive weaving. I do love the formations laps for that. You get to see the drivers just hoping, praying that they do not spin a la Valtteri Bottas in, I think it was 2017 or 2018 at China.
Yeah, I'm just looking as well. I think that we have got one or two drivers out there on the hard compound tyres as well. So that's going to be an extra challenge for them on this formation lap to try and get them up to temperature. They'll have an even higher working range for their tyres. You have to get even higher to get the optimal grip out of the tyre. They will have slightly better degradation, but with mandatory pit stops as well, it's definitely going to be very interesting for the drivers.
Yeah, indeed. It is going to be very, very interesting. I think, you know, realistically, they're just going to have to play it by ear. That's the thing you've got to do at the start of a season. You never really know where you're going to stack up in terms of performance, so you've just got to go in there, do your best, and hope that it's enough to get the best of other people, or at least put them under pressure. See, we've seen the drivers during qualifying, but a lot of drivers have qualifying pace, but the racecraft or the propensity to put good laps in, let's say, for lack of better word, while under pressure from a car, while trying to put pressure on another car, it's not given to every driver. So we might see some drivers that are great at qualifying and then have a little bit of a lapse during the race, and we've seen during the qualifying laps that's happened to most of the drivers out there, it must be said. And seeing as we don't have a full 40 grid at the moment, I am going to take the opportunity to drag the race grid down a little bit if I can, to give a little bit more of a gap for our viewing audience there. As we get ready for the formation lap, let us see. Who do you think? Do you think Giovanni can take it from the race start?
Well, I mean, looking at the pace, it's definitely going to be a positive start for Giovanni, but the pace was pretty close as well, so it's going to be a very tight one. It's going to really come down to that slipstream down the Kemmel Straight as well. I think we've had a crash in the background potentially between one or two drivers. There's quite a big gap in the pack as well, but spin in the background as well. I'm struggling here. Not ideal.
I think that's Santiago that's gone for a little spin. Yes, it is. Not ideal, it must be said, but yeah, the drivers will round out, and there you go, the red lights are on. That means get ready. When they go red, it means hold your speed, and then green is go, go, go. So wait, pause for it. A long pause. Red. Wait, don't hit that accelerator yet, and green flag, go, go, go. It's racing for the VRC ProtoH series, and Di Giovanni holds it as not many drivers going side by side through turn one, it must be said.
Yeah, well, here we go now, down towards Lecom already. Ferrari getting alongside and ahead, heading down towards the chicane, wheel to wheel between the top two. Giovanni sticking his nose up the inside, a bit of contact between the top two, and already we have cars going off the track, having to cut turn number 5 there, coming out still ahead, but he might have to give that position back. I don't think Giovanni's going to be too happy with that one at all. He tried to make the move, heading in towards Lecom. Down the hill we go now in towards turn 8. We still have battles happening. Urbanovsky up into P4. We've got a spinner in the background as well. ProtoH, I think Marino also losing positions. Chaos further behind. We have several cars coming to blows here at turn number 8. Some cars losing positions here on the opening lap. Really unfortunate. 3 cars losing it here at turn number 8. But Giovanni crucially up at the front of the field, losing a position on this opening lap, dropping now down to second.
That was chaotic, wasn't it? Into the Brussels, the Ferranzo cars really not getting to grips quite literally with the track there. I think a little case of just bumping and barging into the turns. Quite big cars, so obviously with peripheral vision limited a little bit, you don't always have a clear indication of what's going on. But yeah, Bühler really taking the opportunity with the slipstream out of Radeon to get the move, and it looks like they are on a march at the moment as Jansch under pressure from Urbanov at the moment, and it's looking like they're shaping up for a move here into the chicane. Goes to the outside, then ducks to the inside, forcing Jansch to the outside, then becomes the inside. Will he get the switchback? No, decides to go all the way around and has been pushed around. I think just Jansch getting on the power a little bit too early, and that is disastrous for them as they have to try and get it spun around, not collecting anybody. I must say, good job from them, but that has dropped them down pretty much to, well, outside the top 10. As you can see, P13, they've managed to rejoin. I thought they were going to drop down the entire pecking order there, but they've managed to rejoin, and all is okay for the moment. It's quite a long race. You have an occasion to make amends for your mistakes, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. We have an hour and 15 of running. Still, the majority of that to go. We're only 5 minutes or so into this race. Up at the front, though, Buller has already pulled a 1 second margin. He's starting to build the gap up at the front of the field. That's going to allow him a bit more confidence, allow him to get a bit more comfortable, give him the opportunity to push as well. But coming here through Les Combes, we go through the chicane. Giovanni, as we can see, 1.2 seconds off the back of Buller up at the front of the field. The 94 starting to build a bit of a gap, but very much still in Giovanni's sights. Vanowski 2.4 seconds further behind in the Arden, still keeping watch on these top two, but the gap's starting to form and he could be under pressure not too long from the 36 behind as well.
Yeah, amazingly, most of the cars have managed to actually keep within relative proximity, with the only gaps really appearing down with P15, as I think Santiago's gone for another spin, or was it Chapman? Yeah, I think Chapman's had a problem there, but Santiago trying to get closer, but as you can see, he's quite a way behind. Got an overtake here, multiple position swaps here as Andrade, going for it, and that's, I think, Marino off into the gravel. It is P12. Marino has been just, I think, swooped around by a little collision between front end and rear end of another car, and thankfully they found a gap to rejoin, but that is so frustrating for them. They were going pretty much 3 wide through that turn, and it was never going to happen. It wouldn't happen with Formula 1 cars, and these things are very wide indeed. I think a few drivers trying to play hero in the opening laps, and it's not particularly working out for them, it must be said.
Yeah, it's a 1 hour race. You've got to make sure you pick your battles, time your opportunities right, and make sure you keep your nose clean effectively. That is going to be the most important thing here in this race. Down towards the bus stop here, we've got ProtoH having a bit of a look to the inside, going very deep, late on the brakes, locking the rears, just about holds onto the car, gets it stopped, and in fact makes the overtake stick through the bus stop. That was a surprising move. I thought we were about to see another collision, but he gets the move done. ProtoH up to 14th.
Tell you what, that gets a thumbs up for me, and we have Chapman under pressure from Michael Hull. Michael Hull, who had a great qualifying session, but has gone all the way back down the order to P17, so something going on there. A collision perhaps, maybe he was one of those caught up in the collision on lap 1 there, but yeah, Michael Hull, I think, has gone off. I saw a driver spear off into the wall there. I think, yeah, Michael Hull has lost it at the top of Radion and has crashed into the barriers. It looks like he's struggling to get the car going. I think he might have serious damage there.
Yeah, it was quite a big crash. I mean, the speed you're carrying as you make your way up to the top of Radion, it's not great, and that could be very, very poor for Holder. I think he has finally got the car going once again. We've got a big crash here on the exit of No Name Corner as well. Molman, I think that is losing the car. Contact being made, I think, as well with Zhao. And yeah, really unfortunate for him, and that has dropped him down a couple positions. He's now down into 14th, could be 15th as well. We've got another car off. Giovanni up at the front of the field, a driver who we thought was going to be in contention for the race win here tonight, gone off down at Stavolo, and that could be very costly for him. Not sure if he's picked up some damage, but that was quite a big hit into the barriers, and now down to 5th, under pressure for P6 as well.
I think he lost it on its own, to be honest, because the gaps were pretty big. I wasn't looking at those gaps. There was 2 seconds between the drivers, and so all of a sudden I see the positions changing on the leaderboard at the top, and yeah, they've gone off between Stavolo and Curve Paul Frere, and it looks like they're really struggling with the car, trying to get it turned in. Maybe the tire is overheated as they're under pressure here from Hubsche in P6, sorry, and so it looks like they're trying to shape up a move, trying to take a wider line, trying to get the switch back. It looks like it's worked as they've got a mega exit there. Let's go on board with Hubsche as they try and make that overtake. As I missed the camera there, my apologies. I thought we were on the wrong camera. So up through Radion, a little bit wide. You don't want to go over too much on those curves. I think Michael Hull fell foul of those curves. So yeah, not really having the straight line speed advantage, it must be said, for the moment. So holding position as Di Giovanni just looks to regain that confidence at the moment. But we've got more gaps down the order as well. We've got Werner trying to overtake Lasser as well, and this is shaping up to be quite a few battles in the opening minutes of this lap of this race. I didn't expect it to be this chaotic, did you, Josh?
I to be honest, I was not expecting it either. I mean, you should come to expect a crash here and there, but yeah, the number of crashes we've had, it's a bit of a shock. We got still though moves happening up and down the field, a bit of contact here. ProtoH and Andrade battling here through turn 8 in towards turn and a bit onto the grass there as well for the number 10. Onto the power once again down towards Puon, not really an overtaking opportunity. He's a little bit too far back to even think about having a look to the inside there, but he'll keep his car close. And no, he's going to have a spin on the entry to Puon. Car going around, doing a full 360 degrees, and now he drops down in towards P16.
That has not gone well. It's been a chaotic opening few laps for Andrade and for basically all of the midfield, I must say, actually. A lot of people just maybe not getting to grips with the high fuel. That can be one thing that is... oh, well, I changed driver to Chapman, and he's off into the gravel. Lewis Chapman not having the best of laps here in that Faranza, that 50 car that I commented just before the event that looked so nice in that red livery. It's not really brought them luck today, and they'll be looking to maybe regain maybe a place or two, but a few drivers dropping positions here. Lasser has gone for a spin. They're just out on the exit of the last corner. In fact, two drivers going for a spin. I think they might have made contact, and then I think that's Eduardo making that has made a mistake as well. So spinning around, I think on his own, off the exit of the chicane. Not really sure about that one.
Yeah, I think I saw some contact with another driver. I'm not sure who it was. But yeah, really unfortunate for all the drivers out there. Mistakes left, right, and centre. Up through Rouge and Radion now, as we could be looking for a loss of position. Never mind. We've got another spinner here up at the top of the hill. Lewis losing the car, and this is a very dangerous spot. We got a massive crash there as they make their way down the Kemmel Straight. A car up in the air. I'm not sure who that was. Gets sent spinning and flying up into the air. But a big moment here down the Kemmel Straight. That might have been Divinity Eduardo there, getting caught up, but really unfortunate for him. Getting caught up in the incidents, heading down the Kemmel Straight, contact being made as well. The fact that that car still runs as well, I am very shocked.
They make them out of carbon fiber for a reason, let's put it that way. It's just insane to see the commitment that the drivers have. I must admit, they are pushing the limits of these cars, that's for sure. As Bühler out in front is looking ominous at the moment. He's so consistent, and I must admit, looking at the practice times, I was looking at his times thinking, wow, he's just nailing lap after lap after lap. And okay, he didn't get pole position, but all of his times were basically within 2-3 tenths of a second, if I remember correctly, and that is just unheard of in sort of endurance racing. You always have one little lap where you sort of like get a bbit of oversteer and all of that. Nothing in practice whatsoever. But we do have a battle for P2 going on as Urbanov is coming under pressure from Belasso, and Sorani is sort of catching them as well. You can see him there just coming into Eau Rouge now. So will they be able to get a form of slipstream? No DRS here, so they've got to just use the slipstream, use the battery, use pressure, if nothing else, to make the driver in front make a mistake. Classic old school driving, but with quite a bit of time remaining in the session. I think the timer is quite bugged in the session at the moment. I'm sure there's less than an hour remaining. Not quite sure why that's happened, but there you go. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how drivers approach this race. If you were approaching this race, Josh, would you try and go a bit more aggressive from the start? Would you try and, tail it back, dial it back a little bit? You've done a bit of endurance racing, so what would your strategy be?
Yeah, well, I think the crucial thing in the first thing, you've got to remember, all the cars are close together. Everybody's going to be looking to try and make some moves. I think it's really crucial that you try and keep your nose as clean as possible. Try and stay out of the incidents while still making them overtakes where you can, when it's safe to do so, as Bennett has just done here in towards turn number 5, getting himself now up to P14. The cars are, of course, closer together, so when there is a collision, more cars are probably getting involved. It can be harder to avoid as well. So you do really have to be aware. You've got to be careful and try and avoid everything as you go along, but once you do actually get the race underway, that's when you really want to start to push. If you have some clean air, or you can try and fight for some positions a bit further into the race once the field is spread out, that is when you can really start to build some fights, build some battles, and also build some gaps as well. You can start to build gaps to the cars behind, close in on the cars in front, and that's probably your best opportunity to try and make some moves.
Yeah, it seems also there's a lot of love in chat for that Peugeot that is leading out in front. It'll be interesting to see on that note how the different cars approach strategy, approach tyre wear, how maybe some cars become more undrivable or more drivable on the opposite into the race stint. Obviously, you have different tyre wear on the front and rear, so some cars with, for example, no rear wing may become a little bit more unstable. Surely not side by side through Blanchimont. Yep, we're doing it. Here we go. Andrade and Bennett side by side. Who has it? The camera briefly cutting away, but Andrade has maintained that place. As yeah, I think Bennett maybe realizing it wasn't worth battling too much for that one. Oh, he's gone for a spin in sympathy. No, just trying to get back on throttle to catch and put Andrade back under pressure, but that has been put on hold for the moment as we go back to the battle for third place now, as Sirani is under pressure. Putting under pressure Belazzo for the moment. So Belazzo has dropped a couple of seconds there, maybe a little bit of a lockup because Urbanov has managed to get a 2-second gap at the moment, and it's looking like they've got a stable lap time. So they're probably just eyeing everybody up and seeing where the weak points are. At this stage of the race, you've got to observe your opponent. You've got to look and focus on their driving lines. Look for any lockups, any sort of unnerving twitches of the car in a certain corner, and look where you're stronger pace-wise versus the car in front of you to spot an overtaking opportunity. Used to be an art before the DRS in Formula 1, for example, but we still have that element here in endurance racing where you have to spot your overtaking opportunity, and because you only have a few of those per race normally, you will have to choose wisely unless you want to get spun round, as we've seen in this race, as Mikael Hall, I think, has had another problem and sadly has decided to call it quits, it looks like. So that brings the retirements up to 2. We've got a spinner off, but is that a lapped car? I think that is Santiago. Yes, it is. Santiago lapped car that is just waiting to rejoin. So Santiago having having a nightmare there at the moment. That is not what you want to see.
Yeah, unfortunate for him, we still have this fight though. Second, third and fourth, they still stay relatively close together. Sami Belazou getting closer to the back of Urbanovsky as well for that P3 position. Still, he's just keeping that gap roughly around 1 to 2 seconds, maybe getting a little bit closer here and there, but that gap is staying pretty consistent here. Down towards Lassos we go. Jans and Lasser fighting it out here towards the first corner of the lab. The number 5 and the number 6. Up the inside goes Lasser, trying to get that move to stick, but losing the car as the switchback move there attempted, and this unfortunately not paid off as contact made. Are we now running 3 wide down towards Eau Rouge? It's 2 wide for the time being. Are we going to try and see? No, they're going to back out, play it safe here this time around. No point fighting too hard, and we got more contact up at the front here. Werner and Hubscher coming together down at Les Combes into the barrier as well there for Werner. Really unfortunate for him. Hubscher continues on, but he looks to be a bit damaged here.
Yeah, the 2 teammates coming together, it must be said. That is not brilliant, as Jansch has managed to maintain that position as ahead of Meilman. So a lot of position changes right now, but yeah, so unfortunate for the 2 same liveried cars to come together. I think just trying to go, again, too wide through a corner where you just don't have the space or the maneuverability of the car. See, these cars have a lot of straight line speed, but the downforce through the corners isn't as much normally as you need to sort of carry that speed, and I think both drivers going for the same bit of tarmac. No way. Prodhan up the inside of Hubscher and nearly got it. Yeah, the switchback, he was going way too deep into that corner. That was never going to happen, but you've got to appreciate the move. You've got to appreciate the audacity to go for it. Hubscher putting a wheel on the grass there in to just, well, one of the most tricky corners, Stavelo, and amazing that he managed to hold it, to be honest. That was quite incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's great racing. We're seeing here between the pair of the drivers down towards the bus stop now, slipstreaming through Blanchimont. A bit of a wobble there as they go through the bumps and the curbs in towards the braking zone. He has a bit of a look to the inside here, heading into the braking zone, and a lock up there from the car in front as well, and that could be his opportunity. As the mistake coming, a bit of contact again on the exit, I think. ProtoH still trying to look for a way through. Yes, contact being made between the pair of them. Down towards the first corner we go. Hubsha with the inside line. ProtoH looking to the outside. Maybe he can try to switch back once again. We've seen him try a couple times, and this time around it might work out a bit better. He gets the better run, and he pulls himself ahead on the run down towards Eau Rouge.
Yeah, Bennett and Andrade, I think, going at it again. So battles forming now between drivers of similar pace. Who's going to be the master of late braking into here? I think it's Andrade that's got it. Yes, Bennett going for the switchback. Hasn't really worked, as I think he just got a little bit nervous of going side by side there. They won't be going side by side through Radion, well, up through Radion, let's call it. And yeah, it's very, very tricky. I think a lot of cars dealing with the tire wear now and dealing with the fact that the fuel is coming down as well. The cars are getting a little bit more racy, as I think we've had a little bit of an incident here. Yeah, a little bit of a collision between Chapman and Eduardo, I think. So Chapman just trying to, as we've got multiple moves here. Yeah, we've got Lasser, who's, I think, gone straight lined the top towards Malmedy there. So that's not gone well. I think that was actually Mazarakis that had a little bit of a problem. Oh, well, talking about it, Lazare has now had a problem and cut straight right back across the course. You always have to hold the brakes when you have a mistake, and that was nearly disaster for Mazarak, but he just decided to take the alternate layout, and I think that was reasonable in those circumstances. Hopefully no penalties involved there, but good reaction skills, it must be said.
Yeah, I'm taking the MotoGP track there. Suriani had a bit of an off-track a moment ago. He's now 6 seconds off the back of that fight for P2, and we've got Scar off in the grass there. I think that's Hubscher once again, as Jans now looks to the outside, heading down towards the run towards Blanchemont and the bus stop. Are they too wide? They're going to back out and tuck back into that slipstream, but we could still be seeing some moves. We've got now 3 cars separated by about 2.5 tenths of a second. This could get very, very spicy heading into the braking zone, wheel to wheel between Hubscher and Molman there. Molman pulls himself ahead up into P9, the number 13, doing quite well here, making some positions, and could be fighting in just a moment down the Kemmel Straight for that P8 position. Let's see how they get on now. Who gets the better run coming out of Lassos? Looking to the inside. There's contact, I think, between the pair of them. Hubscher and Molman, I think, coming together. We've got a car stopped on the inside. I believe that is Hubscher, and in fact, yes, it is. Unfortunate for him, losing the car, I think, on the braking. Just a small bit of contact, and now stopped almost on the apex. It's not a great position to be, facing backwards. The car's going past, but he is in a very precarious predicament here, trying to find the opportunity to turn the car back around, but as a result now drops all the way down to P16. He did the best he could with a poor situation, but he gets the car turned, and no, he's lost it again. That's so unfortunate for him. The rear's overheating as he spun the car back around once again in towards the pit wall as well. That is so unfortunate for Hubscher down at the back. Alex really just struggling after that small incident, everything just blowing up like a balloon.
Yeah, I think, and yeah, Hubscher is disconnected from the session. I think that was one spin too many for them to deal with. I think got caught up in the sort of, let's call it, personal battle, for lack of better words, between Andrade and Bennett, and just was involved in a very tense battle there for a couple of corners, and wasn't used to the way they were defending, and I think maybe there was a little bit of a collision between Hubscher and Wellman. I think no, it wasn't. It was Andrade, I think, made the collision there. So a little bit tricky. It happens, it's racing. Sometimes you just are braking on slightly different lines, and once you're committed to a line through a corner, there's not much you can do about it. And I think just with the lock of the brakes, maybe the car just rotated on its own, and that was the end of it. But getting caught on the apex of turn 1 is not what you want to happen in the best of circumstances, let alone when you've got half a dozen cars heading your way within 10 seconds, as we saw. So yeah, quite heart pumping, let's say, to just be sat there behind the steering wheel waiting for a gap and hoping that nobody hits you into turn 1. Thankfully he was parked just before the apex so people could see him, as yeah, Balasso is looking still to try and get a move on Urbanov, but not getting much closer, as I must admit Buller out in front has a gap of 11 seconds now. Whoa. Balasso really just well, for doing a drift. Basically, he's doing Formula Drift rather than endurance racing, which is a style, but I'm not sure it's the fastest over a stint of endurance racing.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the times that Buller's been setting up at the front of the field. He's about 0.8 of a second faster than any of the other drivers out there on the track at this current moment in time. He's absolutely flying out there. He really does seem to be the pace setter. He might not have had the ultimate pace in the qualifying session, but now we're in this race session with the high fuel loads, with the tyres needing to be managed a bit as well. He is absolutely flying up at the front of the field. Stanislav and Sami as well, they continue their battle. The gap still staying about 1 second. These guys seem very evenly matched. Only a couple hundredths on the previous lap between them, and their best laps as well, 0.005 of a second between them. So these guys really closely matched. They're keeping the gap just about 1 second, and we've got a pit stop, I think, coming here from Sami Belazug, coming into the pit lane here for his pit stop. I assume for fuel this will be a bit early potentially though for the pit stop, so we'll see. Maybe we'll have to do another one later on in the stint. We'll have to keep an eye on how he gets on here.
Maybe switching to a different compound of tyres, that may be the case. You know, some drivers maybe have taken the wrong compound and just need a little bit of a change, a little bit of a refresh on the tyres. But looking at it, I mean, there's 48 minutes remaining, and it was a 1 hour 15-minute race at the start, so it's not that far off. It's not quite halfway. But, you know, it's within the range of pit stops, and maybe some people have gone a bit lighter on the fuel in the hopes of gaining positions. It certainly worked for them in the first stint, as they weren't qualifying as high as that. I will say as well, Di Giovanni is not taking a march on the top three at the moment, but he's closing in little by little, a couple of tenths of a second per lap, and toward the end of this race, it could be a grandstand finish between at least third and fourth place, if not the top second, third and fourth, let's put it that way. But yeah, a lot of drivers, I think, just choosing to, I guess, just get into a rhythm right now and just not make any more mistakes. We've had a lot of drivers drop through the order, and so they're working on their recovery now. As for example, we have ProtoH under pressure from Werner at the moment. So, you know, you can see visual range, and that's always key as a driver, isn't it? For example, P2 has lost visual range to Buller. That was a four-wheel drift if I've ever seen one. That's not the first time that I've seen an Isola Santini go four-wheel drifting through there. But yeah, it's going to be tricky for those of them that have lost the visual contact with the drivers. You have to push to a pace then, and that's when the mistakes can happen.
Yeah, it's really tricky trying to balance the pushing and the conserving the pace, keeping it consistent, avoiding the mistakes. It's really tricky to manage to make sure you're getting as much as you can out of the car, and that is really going to be the balancing act. Giovanni starting to get into the groove. It seems he's gaining time on the cars in front of him. And in fact, not this lap just gone, but the lap before that, I think he was pretty much matching the pace that Buller said. The only other driver who's really been able to properly crack those 2-minute 1 times, everybody else right on the edge or not even making it in. So he is starting to slowly but surely gain, and I think it's only going to be a matter of laps before he gets onto the back of Andres Soriani for that P3 position.
Yeah, the gap stands at 2.6 seconds, so it's not a lot of time whatsoever. But it's astounding that the drivers are so close in terms of pace. Those opening laps were crucial for, well, not only for Buller, but Urbanovsky and Sorani to just get a steal on the other drivers. And Di Giovanni would have been up there, weren't it, for that mistake? And I think lap 2 or lap 3, where they just went off the track on their own at Stavolo, which I'm still trying to understand. It may be that he made the same mistake as a Hubscher, putting a wheel on the grass, perhaps, you know, into Stavolo, and that might be why they were in the gravel. But it did look like the car just went straight at the apex, so I'm still trying to understand that one.
Yeah, it's a tough one to fully know. We didn't see what was going on there. We just saw the car off in the gravel. I'd expect it was either a touch with the grass, a small look up of the rears, or just a bit of understeer, maybe getting a bit too eager on the throttle as well. That could have been the cause. There's a whole range of things that could have caused that and resulted in the car going off. Moment catching slowly but surely to the back of Belazug, but that gap probably going to be increasing as Belazug tries to continue to press on and gain back that time after the pit stop.
Yes, just a note of order for some comments that I'm seeing coming through. It is fixed setup. I did mention that they would change setups absent-mindedly. Yes, it is fixed setup. Can confirm that. Little slip of the tongue, as they say, in the commentary box in qualifying. So yes, they'll just have to get to grips with the setup as it is. When I drove the cars, as it looks like there's been multiple people off into the gravel since we've seen incidents there. The gravel remaining disturbed by the cars that have gone through there, marking the tails of what has happened already in this race, with about half distance to go still. So a lot of action yet to come, and the gaps are closing in. Di Giovanni is only 2 seconds off now, and you can see visually that gap is a lot closer now.
Yeah, I'm just looking as well. I think Striani has picked up the pace a little bit. He's starting to close in on the back of Urbanovsky for that P2 position as well. In fact, last time around, Striani was the fastest man out there on the track. Striani and Giovanni were both faster than Buller up at the front of the field. So they are starting to find some pace here now as this race starts to tick down. The fuel loads start to drop. We're getting more towards that sort of quality fuel load that we would have seen the drivers running, where we saw Giovanni really excelling. And I think now we could start to see some more improvements and see those drivers start to close in. In fact, the gap to Urbanovsky has dropped, I think, by almost a second on this previous lap. It hasn't been a great lap for Stanislav Urbanovsky up in second. Eduardo coming in towards turn one. He's onto the back of Chapman as well, so he could be eyeing up a move in the next few corners, potentially down towards turn number 5, Lacombe chicane potentially. Let's see, can he get a good run here up the hill through Eau Rouge and Radion? Get the gap is about 0.7 of a second right now, so probably not going to be looking at a move for the time being. But yeah, looks like he'll have to suck in behind for the time being, but he is definitely going to be starting to apply some pressure to Chapman here. The British driver going to have to keep his wits about him if he wants to hold on to that P15 position.
Yeah, Chapman has been one of those drivers, I think, which has had good pace, but the consistency wasn't there in practice, and it definitely wasn't there in qualifying, sadly. We have Urbanovsky, I think, maybe in the pits. Yes, Urbanovsky pits from P2 then, liberating Serrani and Di Giovanni. And this could be crucial because obviously when you stop in the pits, you take on fuel. And that means, unlike races that run a set amount of fuel, the longer you can stay out, even if it's on worn tires, normally the more pace you can get out of the car as that fuel drains away. So as we said, this will be a one-stop race for everybody. There's no way of getting around that, as I think Di Giovanni is closing in 1.9 seconds. Yes, the gap is, so it's closing down once again. Di Giovanni is just so consistent. Apart from that one mistake, I know that's a contradiction in terms, but we'll just roll with it. And in terms of strategy, realistically, you want to do what they used to do in the old Formula 1 days. Just stay out as long as possible on your fuel and pit with fumes basically in the car to get the maximum race pace. You want to do quali laps basically at the end of your stint, and hopefully that allows you to jump a car or get a distance away from the car that pitted before you.
Yeah, Luca Warner starting to close in as well on ProtoH up in P4. That gap starting to come down, so we could see some fights in just a few moments. Giovanni also getting under that 2-second barrier now, so he could be looking to try and re-challenge for that P2 position. They're still keeping the gap to our race leader pretty consistent, but are not really able to pull away at this current moment. So yeah, could be some slight differences in fuel, of course. We don't know exactly how much fuel the drivers put into their cars at the start of the session, but some more battles starting to form here up at the front of the field. 2 drivers up in this front fight have made their pit stop so far. The rest of them still hanging out there on their original fuel loads, their original tyres, just waiting around, getting ready. They're probably going to be coming in relatively soon. They don't want to go too long into the race. Of course, if they've been running very high fuel loads, they might leave it out for quite a while. But we are now just about, I think, crossing the half race distance. We're 35 minutes into this race. We've got 40 minutes to go, so a couple more minutes and then we will be at half race distance, so it's not going to be too much longer, I think, before we start to see some pit stops coming in. Giovanni now touching just momentarily onto 1.5 seconds off the back of P2 as well.
Yeah, it's all happening now. We'll keep on board with this battle, which is likely to light up first. Werner trying to get on the back of Prodhan. Prodhan's been in quite a few battles this race and has done quite well defending in them. Usually been on the better end of the stick, as they say, when battling. And so, you know, that's why they're in P4. Their pace has been a little bit less than the top 3, and with I think it's who pitted? Remind me, Josh. Belasug pitted, didn't he? So Belasug is now trying to gain pace in P7. That's the driver I was thinking of. And it's so tricky to try and keep faster drivers behind you. You have to be consistent, but you know, if you've already been in battle, sometimes your mental state can be a little bit wary and a little bit like not wanting to get involved so soon again in a battle. So it'll be interesting to see. I think they'll fight this one anyway, because it's quite clear that they are in a little bit of a gap on their own at the moment. There's no real reason to play it too safe, but definitely when you're on the edge of a podium, if somebody makes a mistake, you want to try and defend that spot as much as possible. And for Prodhan, that means keeping Werner behind at all costs. But talking about a battle in the top 3, a look at who we have. It's De Giovanni looking to regain that P2 that he lost by a trip into the gravel and into the barrier at Stavolo. Yeah, but he was actually getting very close. He was about 0.6 of a second off momentarily. And the big spin, and he's lost it through the bus stop. As soon as he catches up, he's losing the rear end of his car off into the runoff, having to cut that final corner. He gets back going, but he's lost a good 4 or so seconds there as a result of that mistake. Another thing I've noticed as well, despite making his pit stop a bit earlier, running on the higher fuel load, Belasug managed to pull about 7 seconds under the pit stop phase over Urbanovsky. So he managed to pull quite a decent amount of pace. Maybe pitting a bit earlier could be a better strategy, or maybe he's actually gone for a slightly lower fuel load, trying to carry the race pace throughout the stint, and maybe he's going to try and make a second pit stop later on. Oh, yeah, that's a bold strategy, perhaps. I want to think that it's a one-stop race. We haven't seen that many pit stops to indicate that the fuel would be that low. It's a bold decision if it is a two-stop race. It might be the correct one if the pace difference is that big. I suspect it might have something to do, as you said, with tyre wear. Perhaps these high temperatures, sunny conditions could be just leaning a little bit too much on the tyres and causing them to degrade no matter how you drive the car. One person not dealing with that apparently is Bühler, who's just putting away 21 seconds. We do return to him then sometimes during the broadcast here just to check on what he's doing, but as far as we're concerned, he is out into the distance. As yeah, I will though bring in the scores for the Di Giovanni 360 competition. He got a score of 8, 8, 9 and 10 as the scores from the judges for that spin at the chicane. So he might not be winning the race, but he's winning the style points at least.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of spins, a very spectacular one as well, up in the air down the Kemmel Straight. But yeah, definitely up there, that spin with Giovanni. A very nice one. And turning the car around nice and quickly, didn't lose too much time. I think it was about 4 seconds he lost in the end. So yeah, not too bad of a spin in the end for Giovanni. But he gets back going again, quite a way further off the back of Soriani, who also seems to be struggling a bit. He was a 2... Actually, no, he's just gone very quickly on the previous lap. Never mind, I was looking at the lap before that. 2 minutes 1.5, fastest of anybody on that previous lap. So he is finding some pace out there as well as he continues to push on just about over these past 10 or so minutes. Kept that gap to Buller pretty consistent. It's now at 21.8. I think about 10 minutes ago, it's only at 20.8. So he's not really pulling away anymore, is Buller, but he's built that gap. He's keeping it now, and he's quite comfortable up at the front of the field.
Yeah, why take the risk, right? You know, you've done all of that hard work. You've basically ensured that your main rival in terms of pace made a mistake early on in the race trying to push to catch you. That's Di Giovanni I'm talking about. And you know, at that point, your main objective is to just get it to the pit stop phase, make sure that you don't wear out your tires. And, you know, with 20 seconds gap, you really don't have to do anything too much. You could probably lose a second a lap and still be okay at the end of the race on this pace. So, you know, never say never, but at the moment it's looking very good, although we know so many times that something happens during races, whether it's tires going off, whether it's a little mistake that hampers your pace a little bit. We haven't seen any mistakes right now from Buller, and from experience there's always a little glitch that happens at some point. So what will it be? Will it be a big mistake? Will it be a small one? Who knows? But he's got to keep himself on his toes, and that can be really, really difficult if you're at the front of the pack. You think you have it all under control, and then all of a sudden it goes on you. And talking about all under control, he's in the pits now to change off of his tires and get some more fuel.
Yeah, I think we have a bit of contact further down. A couple of the drivers coming together, but our leader now makes his pit stop. We'll see where he comes out relative to the rest of the pack. P2, Sorani, just making his way through the bus stop chicane. Now, does he come into the pit lane as well? It looks like he is staying out there on the track, looking at the track grab. Di Giovanni as well. What is he doing? I think he's also stayed out. So they will go through and take the top 2 positions for, well, the first time since the start of lap 1. We see a change in the leading positions as well, and it's our 3rd different race leader here in this hour and 15 race. We're at 35 minutes. We are just over half race distance, and here is Buller sat in the pit lane, getting that car refueled, getting ready to go, and here he goes, planting the foot to the floor. The pit limiter activated as he makes his way now through the corner, deactivates the pit limiter, and getting back, going onto the power now, out of the pit lane. He comes out still in 3rd position. A decent gap back to ProtoH in P4 as well. He's very comfortably still holding this race lead.
Yeah, that's the pit stops are quite long, around about a minute in terms of endurance racing, so you have to choose your opportunity, and perhaps he saw that gap and he thought, I'm not going to get another opportunity to make a not a free pit stop, but to make a pit stop where I don't come out in traffic or I have to make overtakes. And so I think he recognized that maybe some other drivers might have the opportunity to put a spanner in the works, and so yeah, into the pits, and he's come out 21 seconds behind, so about 40 seconds a pit stop, if my calculations are correct. So you've got to really look at the gaps, and as a driver perhaps you won't have access to all of the time, so maybe blindly. Oh, that's a driver off. I think that's it's Lasser. No, De Marino. Somebody spun.
Just looking, it was Eduardo, I think. Looking at the crash report, might have been him potentially. Although he's in the pit lane here, so maybe not. But yeah, we're seeing some contacts happening. Jansen Belazug, I think Bassett might have made some contacts as well. Belazug, yeah, he's lost a bit of time here. Only a second now to Urbanowski behind. He was about 7 seconds clear, and in fact he's going past. Looks like there might have been some connection issues potentially for the 36 car, as he is very much struggling out there, dropping down the order. He's actually back ahead now, back up into P8, but Urbanowski closing in on the back of the 36, could be looking for an overtake very soon.
Yeah, I think some connection issues playing an effect there, because I think they just lost it off of the unless that's connection issues. That's an interesting line, and I do appreciate the handbrake maneuvers, put it that way. But yeah, I think that's Belazzo just trying to get an overtake done here. But yeah, I think somebody spinning. I think it might have been Merlman spinning off in front of these two and maybe collecting Belazzo, but you know, you'll have to take my word for it. I don't know. Oh, collision there just on the braking, 2 drivers deciding to go for the same bit of tarmac, but no harm done. They've managed to make the move stick, and it looks like, yeah, Moelman's in the pits. I think it was them that spun off. It's logical that they take a pit stop now to sort of reset the memory, reset the driving. If you've made a mistake, you want to come in for fresh tires. You want to, you know, make the car feel a little bit different so that you regain a bit of confidence in it.
Yeah, but let's see now. We continue on. Still the lag continues on here, unfortunately, for Belazug as he makes his way, drifting his way up the hill there. Giovanni up in P2 as it stands. He's now 13 seconds or so. He's lost a bit more time. The Soriani up at the front of the field, so not too sure what's happened to him. I think he might have had a bit of an off. Looking at his delta as it stands, 8 seconds down on this lap, so maybe he's had a mistake somewhere around the lap this time around. Buller starting to catch him as well, might get to him potentially before the pit stops are made, and that could be a bit of trouble for the 94 car up at the front of the field currently. But yeah, let's see how they get on, how they continue to push. Giovanni, can he recover to a decent finishing position in this race? We believe that Soriani is in a net P3, although with the pit stops from Belazig and Ovanovsky, that could be potentially even P5. We'll have to wait and see once all the pit stops are made to see our true running order. 30 minutes left to go here in Spa. Giovanni making his way through the final corner now onto the power once again to start his 22nd lap of the race. Is that Buller behind that we can see there, or is that a lapped car? But yeah, Giovanni, 2 minutes 10 on the previous lap. He must have had enough somewhere around the lap.
Must have been, yes. And just looking at the pace of some of our drivers, the drivers that have pitted for tyres are setting a stellar pace. The gaps are coming down across the board. So there was a lot of talk before the race of whether they were going to change tyres at the pit stops. As ProtoH, I think, in the pits now, coming in for their pit stops. Got overtake Chapman versus Bennett. Again, here we go. Bennett again in the wars with another driver. This time, I think they'll be able to keep it a little bit cleaner as Chapman locks up the brakes a little bit, leaving it a little bit open on the inside, manages to defend through curve pull Frere, so no harm done. But they'll be under pressure a little bit into the bus stop chicane as ProtoH continues to fall down the order with that pit stop. Probably will come out maybe ahead of these two. These two are quite far behind. But yeah, it's interesting to see, because there were lots of drivers that might have been saying that they might not change tyres because of the warm-up phase of a fresh set of tyres. It takes maybe 2 to 3 laps, I was told, for the tyres to warm up. And so what we're seeing here, I think, is the opposite. The drivers are going for fresh tyres because that pace difference is so big. And it actually looks like ProtoH is not going to come out in front. Maybe some damage there because that car has been stationary for a long time. And as I say that, they get going, it looks like. Although it's a very slow rejoin. I'm not sure exactly what's happening here. They're moving without moving. I think that car is conked out. I do not think we have power to this car. Disaster.
In neutral. There we go, gets it into gear now and getting going once again, but that is not how ProtoH would have been looking for this race to continue, losing time in the pit stop phase, down to 13th as it stands. Still drivers in front yet to make their pit stops, of course, so could still be a chance to bring this one back, but not looking too great for the number 3 car there. Bennett still on the back of Chapman, looking to continue this battle. Could we see some overtakes coming? I think Lucas Werner might have had a bit of an off here further up the road, and in fact I think he has, and Jans I think getting involved as well, potentially on the exit of Stavolo. Looks like they've had a bit of an incident, so yeah, not too great for them. They continue on though, but that has definitely cost them a bit of time to the guys in front.
Yeah, it's been one of those races for Werner and for Bennett and quite a few drivers as they decide to go into the pits. They've had enough on those tyres, and I think quite rightly so. After a mistake, you just got to decide to pit and get it over and done with. As I think Bennett has made a small mistake in here. He's dropped a couple of car lengths back. As it just is in that stage where drivers are sort of getting into a rhythm, and then you let your subconscious take over, and your subconscious maybe does certain things not the optimal way, and then all of a sudden you're off into the gravel trap, and either facing the wrong way or losing a position can be quite frustrating. But that marks the quality of an endurance racer, the consistency, the ability to stay concentrated even when there's in the case of a driver maybe leading a pack where there's not much going on around you, you're just looking in your mirrors from time to time. It takes a special type of driver to remain that consistent, and I think Buller is demonstrating that. Maybe not the fastest pace over one lap, but the consistency is just a level above the rest at the moment. As I also wanted to mention, Andrade has sadly disconnected or indeed abandoned the race, it looks like, more after maybe another off. So sadly that is the last of the overtaking moves and of the defense of Andre that we will see this race. But it was a valiant effort, and they definitely put a lot of entertainment into this race, as I think we've had Muelman making a mistake here, getting overtaken here. Marino and Muelman side by side. Who's going to win it here into Les Combes?
Yeah, well, let's see. Moment up the inside of Marino, gets the job done on the brakes. The number 13 car pulls himself up into the top 10 positions now. Still Marino, though, going to be trying to pressure right on the back as well. We have another disconnect. Lucas Werner, unfortunately, the number 11, out of the race here as well. Quite a few drivers maybe struggling with connection issues. We've seen some drivers lagging around a little bit, or maybe just decided to throw the towel in here with 25 minutes to go here at this race at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Soriani still holding the lead as it stands, but yet to make his pit stop, as is Di Giovanni up in second place, 13 seconds behind. Buller currently holding the net race lead. He has made his mandatory pit stop for the fuel change, so he is closing in, looking to try and gain those positions back as well in these final 25 or so minutes. Jans in fourth. I don't think he's made his pit stop either, so gonna have to come in at some point. Urbanowski and Belazug in fifth and sixth. They could be running in for this second and third podium positions potentially if the strategy goes their way. Soriani gonna be looking to try and challenge though. He will be closing in. We have got a car in the pit lane as well. That is Morazquez. So he comes in for his pit stop now. He'll be dropping down the order as we look at the timing tower and down towards Blanchimont here as well. Swaps of positions happening as Soriani gets past one of the lap cars. That is, I believe that is Prodhan he was going past there. So getting through past the lap traffic, a bit of a lock-up heading into the chicane, but keeping it relatively clean, still up at the front of the field, especially as he passes through all of the traffic. Marino a couple seconds behind Vasquez as they come out of the pit lane, so it could still be a late challenge for those top 10 positions for Marino here. Morazquez is going to be looking to pressure Molman for the P9 position as well. Not too far up the road at all, so still could be a chance for some battles here.
Yeah, Eduardo has decided to call it quits as well. I think just a few too many incidents, it must be said. As, you know, I just want to pause and look at the cameras, to be honest. I love the creativity of cameras in racing, and you can see all of the aerodynamic details on the cars. It's just lovely to see. And, you know, the little attention to details, like the release catches on the side, the air intakes, and the covers. I do love to see a well-detailed race car like these, but as you can see, Mazarakis actually struggling to get the tires up to temperature. I think Marino's putting them under pressure, but this is what we were talking about, and this might be a little bit awkward for the quote-unquote teammates if they have to swap positions because one of them is just not warming up their tires. Although, you know, with one lap already near enough under their belt, it shouldn't be too big of a gap now. Although you can see through the corners that it's just not turning in. Look at the amount of speed that Marino can carry through the corners compared to Mazarakis. And, well, upon saying that, Mazarakis just pulls off into the distance. That's an interesting one. Commentator's curse right there.
Yeah, but they continue on this battle down towards the bus stop chicane. 0.6 of a second separate them as it stands, but these guys are going to be looking to get in for some moves in the coming few corners. Marino had a small look to the inside, although very far back. Was never really any chance of an overtake. Maybe just trying to put the number 52 in front of him off a little bit, trying to force him into a bit of an error. Buller still catching Giovanni. The gap now down to 9 seconds. He is slowly but surely catching that top two drivers. The gap to the lead now 25 seconds for the 94 as he powers his way down through Blanchimont now. Let's see how he can get on. What sort of pace does he have left in the car? He's still in the 2-minute ones as he presses on. Soriani matching that pace pretty well as well. Di Giovanni, though, losing time lap after lap, especially to the car in front, who is still effectively in a race for the positions as well. So he's got to try and stick with him. Remember, he was battling Soriani earlier on in the race. He had that spin down at the bus stop. But yeah, let's see how he can continue, and does he have the confidence to get this race back going once again? Does he have the confidence to try and catch back up? 22 minutes left on the clock as well. Maybe some of these drivers are going to try and hang out to the end. Maybe they've been fuel saving, and maybe they're going to try and take this all the way to the checker flag without a fuel pit stop.
I'm not sure if it's possible. I was told it was not possible. And with the likes of Buller making a pit stop, I believe that to be very, very likely. But, as Buller makes a huge mistake. That's the first mistake. I said it would happen. It has happened, thankfully for him. It's only a couple of seconds lost, but you could see him fighting with the car, trying to get it stopped, and then it turned, and then the car rotated too much on the rear axle, and that was almost disaster into the gravel trap and into the barrier, but well recovered. And that's what you've got to do as a driver. If you're going to make a mistake, make it at one of the corners where it's a little bit safer than the others. Better to make a mistake in Les Combes, but the second of Les Combes, rather than here, for example, at Pouhon. So that will be the wake-up call. That will be the one mistake that you can afford to have with your luck. Now, your challenge is to get back into the race pace, get back the confidence. Hopefully the tyres haven't taken too much of a beating, because that was quite a bit of a lockup. Will we see the pace dwindle a little bit? We'll have to wait until the next lap, because this lap will be compromised. But looking at their steering, looking at the way they're handling that car, I'd say not too many problems. But you know, that little bit of confidence that was there since the start of the race could ebb away slowly but surely if mistakes like that start creeping in.
Yeah, it's going to be a really cautious, I think, finish to this race for Bernard. Obviously, he's going to have to push. He wants to make sure he gets his positions made up before the end of the race. But yeah, he's got to make sure he keeps it nice and clean. Otherwise, he's really going to be costing himself time. We've seen how crucial it is. One small mistake can really define your race, as we saw for Giovanni. The small mistakes he made, ultimately that has really defined his race. I am starting to question, though, the likes of Sirani up at the front of the field. He's got 25 seconds in hand. Maybe with some lift and coast throughout this race, maybe there's a small chance. The window is probably going to be very tight to try and get to the end, but he's got so much time in hand. Surely it's worth a try for the chance of a victory, potentially. We've got Molman as well getting pretty close to the back of Bennett. Could be looking for an overtake very shortly, the number 13, gaining on the 39. But yeah, those guys getting closer and closer for their battle as they make their way through the Fania chicane. Belazou currently sits in P6. He's been starting to catch the back of Urbanowski as well over the past few laps. The gap now down to 2 seconds for what we believe after the pit stops will be the fight for P2. Molman, though, right on the back of Bennett as they run towards Blanchimont. The gap just over 0.2 of a second. In fact, it's dropping in the slipstream, and there could be a chance here heading down towards the bus stop chicane.
Yeah, bus stop chicane, looking to the inside, just making sure. Oh, he's going for it. What a late break. I think actually Bennett broke a little bit too early there, and that means that Moelman up the inside. Can Bennett get a switchback? Not really. So yeah, Moelman just going up the inside, steaming up the inside, showing what brakes look like. And for Bennett, that will be one where you think, wow, I just did have nothing in defense for that. And you can see how hard Moelman is pushing with that lockup into turn 1, and he's just driving away, I think, using maybe the battery a little bit to just cruise off into the distance. And I must admit, I was assured that it was going to be one pit stop because they won't have enough fuel to get to the end. With 18 minutes remaining, I am starting to second guess that. So I must admit, it's becoming a little bit heated in the commentary box, because the information I had written down is slowly, with that time, ebbing away, as they say. But yeah, for Adam Bennett, this has not been the best of laps, and it looks like that pace that they had at the start just went away when they had a few collisions or were caught up in a few incidents, not necessarily of their fault, obviously. But, you know, all of that has possibly played in the back of their minds and led to the maybe lack of confidence fighting other drivers at the tail end of this race. But with 17 minutes remaining, he's still in P8. So that's a top 10 finish. That's a good result to this race with 22 drivers starting it. You're in the top 50. That is 50% there.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look through the Discord. From what I've seen, they believe that there won't be enough fuel and virtual energy to get to the end of the race. But Giovanni said that he was very close to making the end, so maybe with a bit of extra saving, there's a chance that you can try and run it to the flag.
No way are we going to see that happen. That would be the 0 to hero race that we want for Giovanni. That would be incredible. Can you imagine it? Off in the gravel, trying to chase down your rival. Qualified on pole, but lost it at the race start. Like, I cannot imagine the motivation to try and get that to the end. It would be an extraordinary strategy, defying even the organisers at that point as to what is possible with lift and coast. And it must be said that Sirani has just been gaining a few seconds, and that gap with Bühler has come down to 9.7 seconds. But to be honest, I don't think that's enough time, because when Bühler pitted, it was, say, 40 minutes remaining, approximately, between 35 and 40 minutes remaining, and the gap was only halved. Well, there's less than half of that time remaining, and unless the target is really, really bad on Di Giovanni's car, then we might actually see a strategy panning out. Although, you won't be saving fuel by trying to swap ends at turn 1, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely been a tough one for Di Giovanni in that P2 position, but we've got to remember as well, Buller did have that spin which lost him a good few seconds. Maybe if you take that into account as well, there might just be enough time for Buller to catch up here, and we could still be seeing some splash and dashes at the end of this race. Soriani and Giovanni might have to come in with just a few laps to go, put effectively 1 or 2 laps of fuel in and do a qualifying lap right at the end to finish the race off. So it could still be right at the end that we see these pit stops being made. They might have been starting on a very heavy car. That would explain why we saw such a pace difference as well between Di Giovanni and Buller in the race pace compared to the qualifying sessions. So I think there could be a chance that we do see them still make those pit stops, but they're going to leave it very, very late on.
Yeah, it almost doesn't make sense in the strategy, really. You either have to commit to the no stop or you have to commit to the one stop quite early on. I think Buller just, committed to the one stop thinking that, well, everybody else was going to pit because they started progressively peeling off into the pits. But, at this stage with 14 minutes remaining, the temptation as a driver is just too great to want to pit. Going off into the gravel, not part of the plan. Perhaps the tyres won't last the race distances. That's 2 trips into the gravel for Di Giovanni in the space of 2 corners. That is not brilliant, I must say, and not great for tyre wear or for confidence for that matter, as the gap continues to come down. I must admit, according to the last lap timings, Di Giovanni has lost 2 seconds in the last lap alone. And so if that continues to come down, you can see the gap 7 seconds now. At that pace, there will be an overtake happening at some, or at least a battle happening at some point. So this is make or break at this point, as Giovanni has lost quite a few seconds now to Soriani. I think about 3 seconds this lap as well. So is this the case that he is definitively backing off, saving that fuel and saving that energy on the straights? We'll have to wait and see. We don't have any indication in the commentary box as to those parameters. But that's the beauty of it. The unknown is part of racing. Only the team and only the driver knows the strategy that they are on. It's a guessing game for the rest of us, and that is the beauty of racing. There can always be a spanner in the works. And that is talking about that. Balatsuk and Urbanovsky have been basically glued together for this entire stint, trying to gain time back, and they've lost a bit of time progressively to Buller, but compared to everybody else, I'd say they're actually in quite a good position. I think if Giovanni and Soriani pitted now, they'd be quite close to being behind Urbanovsky, at least. So there's a lot of strategy at play here. As a driver, would you pit, Josh?
It would really come down to the numbers, I think. If I thought it was physically possible to get to the end, and I was sat in Soriani's car, 100%, the lift and coast starts, we are going to the end. He's got 23 seconds to the next car who's actually made a pit stop. Giovanni's going to be in a very similar position as well. Let's listen in and see if there is a bit of lift and coast going on here.
Doesn't sound like it.
Doesn't know. So maybe we could be seeing that splash and dash coming near the end of the race here for Soriani, or maybe he's got enough fuel in the car to even just go to the end. He might have saved it a bit earlier on. It's going to be a very interesting strategic end to this race. We have 3 drivers in the top 6 sticking it out there on their original fuel loads. If it's enough to get to the end, this is going to give us a very tense ending, especially in the fight between Di Giovanni and Buller for that P2 and P3 position, as it looks like it will be.
Yeah, indeed, it's looking like that, and I think that's network. I was thinking that is a car very sideways, but we get on board of what is going on with the connection at the moment, as Balatsuk is having all kinds of interesting stuff happen. That was kind of getting me back to my rally days there, as I see a car going sideways. That's more the type of well, that's interesting. That's a line of all time. I think they're exploring new tunnel options to get people from one side of the track to the other. See, we're seeing experimental testing by the Spa racecourse.
Yeah, well, suddenly going off the track towards some trees, I think that is very much your neck of the woods. We've got Jans here heading down towards the Camel straight in just a moment. He's doing pretty well out there as well. I think he's also yet to make a pit stop here in this race, so if he does have to make that pit stop, he'll probably be dropping down behind Urbanovsky and Belazug as well, down into what would most likely be P6 for him. Belazug into the pit lane, is that? No, I think he's just lagged into the pit lane for just a brief moment. Interesting stuff here, nonetheless, here at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. 10 minutes, 40 seconds left to go here. Belazug still trying to find new places to lay some tarmac, potentially for the organisers of the circuit. Lolman is currently sat in P7 as well, doing a pretty decent job. Buller now 6 seconds off the back of Di Giovanni. He is closing that gap bit by bit. On the previous lap, a second faster, and I think it's going to be a similar story this time around as well.
Yeah, this is looking ominous. Look at that gap, 5.8. It's going down way faster than I thought it would. And yeah, it's that time of the race here where the counter hits single digits on the minute, and this is now crunch time. Visual distance, as I said, there is Di Giovanni. You just caught a brief glimpse of him, and Serrani's in the pits. Serrani has pitted. Serrani has not been able to go the distance, and that is disastrous for his race. Well expected, but that means that the only driver out on track to not have pitted yet is Di Giovanni in first place. It's crunch time as Buller gets a huge snap of oversteer out of turn 1 and in going down now into Eau Rouge Raidillon. Can he still keep it flat? I must admit that car has not looked as planted as it did on the first stint. Maybe a difference in tires. I'm still seeing the medium tires on the car, but it doesn't look like it's performing as well. As you can see, just Di Giovanni turning into Les Combes right now. So the gap stabilized actually in the first sector, so indicating that there's no real lifting and coasting going on there. So I'm perplexed how they've been able to get that much pace and also fuel preservation in the car. I don't understand how they're doing it. It's almost as if can someone check whether they've got a separate fuel tank or something like BAR had. This is nuts.
Yeah, I'm just looking as well. Suriani, he's come out in P3. I think it was very much a splash and dash. He's only got to put in about 4 or 5 laps of fuel here to get to the end of this race. He's 12 seconds off the back of Buller. Probably not going to get the chance there, but if he has similar sorts of pace, is it possible that there's a chance he can try and catch up to the back of Di Giovanni if he does try and go to the end of the gap? Now down to 4.8 seconds between first and second place as the clock continues to tick down. 4 or so laps left to go, 4 seconds left to go between first and second. If they are going to the end, this could be a very tense end to this race.
Yeah, so also another battle that might be heating up in a couple of laps' time. Prodan and Bennett, these two have already come to blows earlier on in the race, and it's looking like Prodan with that late pit stop might be able to close the gap. Look at that, coming down 3.3 seconds. That was 0.5 of a second in one corner. This is looking ominous for Bennett, as I think their confidence just goes down the drain a little bit. Look at that late braking, getting it rotated. Lovely stuff. Not a hint of a lock-up there. No tire squeal whatsoever. Prodan finally has found that confidence that he needed as the gap goes just under 3 seconds now. We could see by the end of this lap the two being nose to tail, and the gap with Buller at the same section of track, they're just behind the two that we were following. There is the visual gap there. Giovanni, car 3. Look at that, braking into Les Combes, and there is Buller. This is looking like a showdown.
Yeah, I think Bennett and Prodan both getting blue flags, so that could play into their battle as well as the leaders continue to catch up to the back of them as well. Di Giovanni still sticking out there, trying to hold on at the front of the field. He's holding that gap quite consistently, but the middle sector is where he's really going to feel the pain out there, where he's maybe lacking a little bit of confidence due to his mistakes he had earlier on in the race. Buller is pushing hard to try and catch. 6 minutes, 45 seconds left to go. The gap sits at 4 seconds, and they're starting to catch some traffic. This could really start to play a big factor.
I'm just amazed. I mean, it's incredulous. They're still out on track. I cannot believe it. I am waiting, listening, just anticipating the moment where that engine sound changes, where the ominous signs of lack of fuel happen, and it's just not happening. the gap's coming down for sure, but not at a rate that you'd expect it to. Still 3 seconds is going to be so close on the last few laps, as I think Bennett and ProtoH are going side by side here. Yeah, ProtoH looking to try and get the move. Oh, really late brakes. I don't think it collected there. Oh, he did connect. Oh, Bennett out of this one, I think, collected by ProtoH. The very late move, I think, by ProtoH to go to the outside, just braking too late, and Bennett sadly has fallen foul of that one. He rejoins the course, but what a tag. Reminds me of Vettel just tagging the side of Button in 2010 with wet braking, it must be said. But yeah, that was a really big incident right there. I thought initially they'd avoided contact, but sadly not for Bennett, and that means that Bennett has been well, lost a position. He's still safe compared to Chapman, but he's out in the middle of nowhere now, whereas he could have at least tried to defend that one had he not been tagged.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him there. Just, I think maybe one of the drivers trying to do a bit of lift and coast to get to the end of this race, lifting off heading in towards the bus stop, and just getting tagged from ProtoH, who wasn't expecting it behind, trying to go to the outside, but it was just a little bit too late, and as they made contact, it forced him off, unfortunately. Up at the front of the field, 3.3 seconds between Di Giovanni and Buller in second. That gap is still coming down. We could yet see some battling on the track. Suriani now says 15 seconds behind. He hasn't been able to make inroads after his pit stop with that splash and dash he made to get to the end. Now 2.8 seconds. The gap is tumbling. I'm not sure exactly how many laps we're going to have left once we get to the end of this one, but we have 4.5 minutes left on the clock. Coming towards the end of lap 34, the gap still continues to drop. Buller is starting to get right in the mirrors of that cadenza car up at the front of the field. Antonio Di Giovanni stuck it out all the way from lap 1. He had a couple spins here and there, but he continues to push on with just a handful of laps to go. Are we going to see that splash and dash coming in just a moment, or has he been fuel saving from the start all the way to the finish to try and make the zero stop work? Are we going to see him coming to the pit lane on this lap? There's a car of traffic in front as well he's going to have to be mindful of, but does he make the call to the pit lane? No, he doesn't. Continues on once again. Antonio Di Giovanni continues on with 2 seconds of margin to P2 behind. Can he make it to the end? Does he have enough fuel left in the car? Buller sets the fastest lap of the race, 2 minutes, 0.911 milliseconds. He is pushing hard to try and catch up. Antonio Di Giovanni doing everything he can to hold on to that position up at the front of the field. Last time around, Antonio Di Giovanni lost 1.4 seconds. As it stands, I think we could potentially be going on to the final lap of the race with just a few tenths of a second between the two drivers.
By my calculations, we have 3 laps remaining, including this one. As far as I know, by when the timer hits 0, it's the next time that you cross the finish line that counts. But it's going to be so close. We're going to have to wait and see as the timer hits 3 minutes now. I think Di Giovanni will be hoping, and I'm not sure that was just the teammate getting out of the way of Di Giovanni. So good tactical play by the two cars there. I'm not sure if that was planned or not. I'd like to think so, but that will help just mentally to know that there's a car in between, maybe provoking some dirty air, maybe just causing Buller to just lose a little bit of confidence. But that gap is down to 1.7 seconds, as still that engine in Di Giovanni's car continues on. It sounds very healthy. There's no sign of anything being wrong with it. It must be running on fumes right now. Di Giovanni must be just looking every 2 corners at that fuel gauge, thinking, hoping, praying that he can get every last drop out of that tank and he can get it to the finish line. 1.2 seconds is going to be a grandstand finish. That is the visual gap that you can see. Di Giovanni just going through Blanchimont, the back marker car behind them. I think that's Chapman in between, but there's nothing to play. But catching is one thing, overtaking is another. Will Buller find the speed? Oh, that is not what you wanted to happen. Collision. Buller gets caught up with the back marker, just making a mistake out of the turn. That is dramatic, and that might put a spanner in the works for Buller. Drama right at the end of this race.
That could be a race-deciding moment with just 14 kilometers left to go. Here with the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, P2 coming to blows with a back marker. The teammate of Antonio Di Giovanni, 3.7 seconds now the gap. He's going to be pushing flat out to the end of this race. Last time around, obviously the gap was a bit inflated with the contact the previous lap. Remember, it was 1.4 seconds that the gap was that he was gaining. At that rate, the gap across the line is going to be mid-tenths of a second. He's going to give it everything in these final 2 laps of the race, but he's gonna have a big gap to catch. He's already down to 3 seconds as they make their way through Malmedy down the hill towards Brussels. He is gaining at a rapid rate of knots, and Antonio Di Giovanni might be having to go in some rapid fuel saving measures to try and keep this car alive as it runs on fumes all the way to the end of this race. It's going to be a tough drive for the Italian driver as he flicks it in towards the double left of Pool, and the gap still continues to drop. 2.4 seconds now. He is closing at a rapid rate of knots as we make our way through the middle sector here.
This is just wrenching stuff right now. I have nerves for the drivers. I have goosebumps for this race. What a grandstand finish we are about to have. Di Giovanni potentially is maybe on the last lap. I'm not quite sure if they will come across the line and finish the race on this lap or whether they'll have an extra lap. But if that's the case, Buller needs to make the overtake happen right now. He's not within braking distance, although if you maybe take the attitude of using engine braking only, it might be possible. Leaders on the final lap. I think Giovanni's going to do it. I cannot believe it. Giovanni might be winning this race, coming potentially across the line, the last corner. It is! Giovanni's going to win on a 0 pit stop strategy, and Buller falls short by 2 seconds only. I can't believe it.
That back marker decided the fate of this race. Antonio Di Giovanni wins the opening round here. We've got almost a bit of a spin there for Soriani as he makes his way through the bus stop chicane, up and across the line to round out the podium positions. And now you start to question. He was almost 20 seconds clear. Did he make the right call making that pit stop? Could he have got to the end of the race without it? Jans makes his way through the bus stop chicane now and up towards the start finish line. He'll come home in P number 4. Aronofsky as well coming through the final few corners to take home a decent P5 result. Pretty good drive from him in that Arden car, and we now have the Blackie Belazug making his way through the final sector as well. Molman through the chicanes here. Quite a few cars a lap down. Protam, Chapman, Bennett, Lasser, Marino, and then we have Chapman as well down in 14th. Rounding out your laps drivers, but yeah, Belazug coming across the line I believe now to take home a P6 result for him, so a decent result overall. Despite the issues with the connection potentially haunting that 36 car. Moment now through Blanchimont towards the bus stop chicane.
But
I'm going to come home.
Belazug's a bit like Schrodinger's car. Has he crossed the line? Has he not crossed the line? The ping will determine it. It's currently set at 10,000 ping, so I'm not sure if he has crossed the line. Timing board says he has. Melman across the line, P7, and he's happy with that after all of the wars. And Mazarakis might be the last driver across the line. No, we have Chapman as well, yet to finish the lap. So Mazarakis, again, the story of what could have been just, I think, getting maybe the strategy wrong and not having the pace afterwards, as we have Dean Chapman, who has been a little bit in the wars and causing, I think, that little bit of a collision with Buller. That will be a controversial one, but across the line it's a subdued finish. I think they'll be having a lot of apologies in post-race, but for Giovanni, I mean, that is the way you want to win the race. That is the way you want to finish the session. Just a round of applause for that strategy. What else can you say? Incredible strategy, unthinkable strategy, and something that I don't even think the organisers were expecting to happen.
Yeah, it's something we weren't expecting heading into this one. Even himself, he said that he was a couple laps short of the fuel, but now giving us some donuts to celebrate the victory. Antonio Di Giovanni wins here in Spa. What a drive to make the zero stop work. I think he was the only driver who managed to pull that strategy off. A bit of help from the back marker to secure him the position on the final lap, but it was by no means sealed and signed for Antonio Giovanni with just one lap to go. It was looking very, very close and looked like we were going to have that grandstand finish as well.
Let's do a quick rundown of the final finishing positions. Giovanni in first with Bühler second. Soriani finishes P3 with Jansch P4, Urbanovsky P5, Balazug P6, crossing the line eventually with 3 cars lagging in 3 different spots. Muelman in P7, Mazarakis P8, the last of the cars that finished on the same lap, with Prodan P9, Chapman P10, Lewis Chapman that is, with Bennett in P11, Lasser P12, Marino P13, and Dean Chapman P14. The last person running in this race. Quite a few retirements there, with 8 retirements, as you can see on the board. Incredible race that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was insane action all the way through. We had racing battles up and down the field every single lap all the way through. I mean, yeah, amazing stuff from all the drivers. And what a way to win it as well. Holding on, the fuel saving to pull that one off. It's going to be a really interesting one. I think when we do get to talk to him as well, to see how he was getting on throughout that one, saving that fuel all the way through. How close was it? Was he running on fumes right at the end, or did he have a bit in hand that he was able to spare? But yeah, it's a sensational job by him. Nobody expected that heading into this one. I think he was the only one to go for that zero stop, and yeah, a very well-deserved victory.
And I have just noticed a note to the race control directors. I do not have access to the waiting room to drag the drivers in, so I will just have to send a little bit of a message to hopefully get you some interviews with our top 3, or with anybody who wants to have a chat about their race. I think
do have the ability to
you
drag
have the
people,
ability,
so
right? Well, I will leave it in your hands then too.
who should we go for first then?
Wow, I mean, we've got to go with our race winner, haven't we?
You're going to have to tell me who that is, because the Discord names are slightly different. I'm not exactly sure who is who.
Good question. That is a very, very good question. Let me we'll drag one of them in and ask for their name in-game.
Their names have been changed.
There we go.
This is our race winner. Antonio Di Giovanni, what a race from yourself. Pulling off the zero stop, you must be really happy with that drive.
Yeah, it's insane. In the beginning, starting from pole, I expected to be overtaken up to the straight, as it's also happened in the practice run. And I quickly noticed that Ferran, or apologies for the mispronunciation, had way less fuel than me. So from that, I started already managing there, because I knew he would go for the pit stop. And something really, really annoying happened, like 10 minutes in the race. My wheel disconnected twice, dropping me to P5. And I was really close to Alt F4 and throwing everything in the air, but I was like, no, calm down, just keep going. And the last 30 minutes were really intense with the fuel saving. I didn't know whether I would have enough, and in the end I had only 4 liters left, which is barely enough for 1 lap. So yeah.
You must have been very happy about that timer hitting 0 when it did then. You were oh so close to completing the lap. Well, thanks you for giving clarification on what happened, because we saw you in the gravel, but we didn't realise it was a wheel disconnect, which, if I'm honest, it makes it even more impressive, the fact that you were able to come back and win the race via a strategy that even the race controllers didn't expect to be possible. So how did you come about that strategy? Was that the plan all along, or did you develop that during the race?
I just want to add that during qualifying, in the last 10 minutes, my steering wheel stopped downshifting and had to run to grab another one, which I have used for less than an hour in total. So I've done even the entire race with this, and yeah, it was crazy. But speaking about the strategy, I did one race simulation by myself, and I ran short of 1 lap to the end. So entering the race, I was really, really skeptical of what to do. But in the end, I decided to stick to not stopping as soon as I saw Ferrand not stopping. Sorry, doing the pit stop, and subsequently also the guy in front in the Ferrari stopped, and I was like, I gotta pull this off. I gotta save fuel, calm down, and just go to the end.
Those final few laps must have been quite nerve-wracking. You saw how quickly the cars behind were catching you. Did you think you had it in the bag, or did you think there was a big risk of you losing that victory?
Yeah, Ferrand behind was catching well over a second a lap. My tires were dead, and it was really also stressful. The pressure was definitely there, and I don't know if I would have pulled it off without the luck at the last lap. He was just over a second behind me, and I don't know if I will have managed to keep him behind, since like my tires were absolutely dead. So I wouldn't know, but I will take the luck. I'm really happy about it.
So in summary, then let's just get this clear. To win a race in endurance, you have to have a failing wheel, bad tires, and no fuel. Now, that doesn't sound like a good race-winning strategy to me, and yet you managed to pull it off, which is extremely special. Do you think that you can have the same pace and the same innovations, let's call them, well, hopefully you get the wheel fixed, by the way, but hopefully with the other things, do you think you'll have the same pace? Do you think the next tracks will suit your driving more or less?
Yeah, I actually like the tracks that we're going to be racing on next. I've also been put in practice by myself because I just like hot lapping, especially with the Cadillac, which is just a great, amazing car. So I'm confident in myself. I think I can pull off some more good stuff.
Well, Josh, if you've got another question, otherwise we'll leave it go.
Nothing else from me. Just amazing drive, amazing call with the strategy, and ultimately managed to pull it back for the race win.
Yep, thank you.
And enjoy your victory as well. And hope to see you at the front as well in the next race.
I will enjoy this very much. Thank you. I will be in the front. Trust me.
I like confidence.
All right. Right then, let's get...
We need to drag Antonio out. There you go.
And who should we go for next?
I just want to say as an interlude, that is a sign of confidence, that you can have a wheel disconnect, you can have multiple shifting issues during qualifying and still go out and have a wonderful race and sort of bring yourself back mentally, like I was saying during the race. You just have to just commit to it and go for it. And even if you've had a bad start, you can bring it back. And that's exactly what he did. And I think he deserves the, the win just based on what happened. Okay, Bühler got very, very unlucky, but Giovanni got unlucky as well. So, you've got two drivers there that didn't have a perfect race. Okay, over to you, Josh.
Yeah, who should we get in next?
Entirely up to you.
Let's bring in. Hello, can you hear us? Hello.
Yes, I can, yes.
So pretty decent race from yourself. Although I feel like there might be a bit of upset right at the end there. How was that from your side?
First of all, I was very, very surprised by I don't know yet, but I think that the leader didn't stop yet. I didn't stop for the pits. Yes, he did.
Yes, he didn't stop. Confirmed. He did the whole race.
Yeah. So yeah, I was very, very surprised because I didn't expected anybody to do that. So like GG's to him. I didn't thought about it, but with the lap car, I'm not very upset. Even if at the end of the race, when I saw that there is less than 2 seconds between me and the leader, I was like, maybe I could win this. Yes, that's the game, I had a pretty decent pace while lift and coasting the first half of the race, and when I saw that the top two hasn't stopped yet, I was thinking about one stint strategy, so I started attacking a lot, and realizing that I may put in like 5 liters of fuel in at the end of the race. I had 5 liters of fuel remaining, so I started attacking a lot, and it wasn't enough, but congratulations to Antonio. Did a very good race without any mistakes. And yeah, I did 1 or 2, and maybe if without that one, we could have done a better race. But that's it. And I'm proud of the race, even if it could have been a little better.
I mean, from my point of view, I will admit it. I had said midway through the race that you seem to have this all sewn up, and we didn't predict. In fact, the race organisers had told us that the zero stop was not an option, and so Di Giovanni has gone and proven everybody wrong. But it must be said that your pace and your consistency, okay, a few mistakes, but everybody made mistakes in this race. Does that give you confidence maybe into the next races? Okay, this one maybe didn't end the way you wanted it to, but you were oh so close and looked to be the most consistent driver on the track.
Yeah, maybe. I'm very confident, but I believe that the following race I wouldn't be able to be here. I'm sorry, but for the tour last I might be able to be here. So yeah, for the pace, I'm really happy for the Peugeot. I didn't expect that good pace. I took it because I'm French, so I was like, yeah, let's take the Peugeot. I prefer the Peugeot for the compared to the Alpine because it's not an LMDH, or maybe no, maybe the Alpine is an LMH. But yeah, I prefer the four-wheel drive at 150 kilometers. But yeah, the car looks great for now, like a very strong pace. Okay, I'm confident for the other races.
Yeah, and overall your pace throughout that one, pretty commendable. Yeah, I mean, just massive congratulations once again. Unfortunately, not quite the result that maybe you were looking for, given the pace you had, but still a very commendable drive nonetheless.
Yeah, thank you. And
Yeah, well, all the best to you, and commiserations for that race loss in from your perspective. But I think P2, a very good result, and you've demonstrated that you have what it takes to be right at the front. So I'm sure next time it'll go a lot better for you, and we can't wait to see it.
yeah, thank you very much.
No problem. Yeah.
He was let's say, gracious in defeat. Let's say I'm glad to hear that, and recognizing the unbelievable strategy, but also it must be said recognizing his strong points. It's good to see that, and I think that's what we want to see in a community of drivers. As always, we'd love to see the close battles, but after the racing is done, it's good to be on the same page as everybody else, and that's good. Very honourable of him.
Yeah, I mean, things definitely didn't exactly go his way. The strategy maybe not perfectly done, and obviously the incident on the phone lap not quite going his way. But overall, still he was very much right up on the front. He had some great pace, and I think he can definitely be proud of that nonetheless. Yeah, so yeah, still a great drive by him. Should we get Andreas in now for our P3?
Yes, we should.
Yeah, right then. Yeah, so P3 for you, Andreas. I mean, quite a commendable drive, holding on quite a long way into that race. I think, in fact, it was about 10 minutes when you finally made your pit stop. But yeah, a really great drive from you to come home in P3 there as well.
I mean, it was tough. So the tires were really off. I didn't change them, so it was a really bad drive. And I also lost a lot of positions in the start because I had a so great start that I thought I jumped the start, but no, and everybody just overtook me. It was hard.
Oh, that's really bad, because the race start, is so difficult to gain positions after that. Did that affect your mentality? Were you able to sort of get back into the groove of things? And is there something to potentially learn from that for the next race?
I was aiming at P5, so that was my main goal. And that seemed achievable. Obviously, I was a bit angry that I got so back from I started from P4, but I saw that I have quite a good pace, so I remained calm.
Yeah. And overall, obviously, you made that pit stop right at the end. You were about 20 seconds, I think, or so clear. Do you think there was a chance you could have gone to the end, or were you that low on fuel that you had to make that pit stop?
There were so many liters missing. Like, I can't imagine how someone can make it without a stop. But if I lived and coasted throughout the whole race, there was no way I could get this place. I don't know what the Cadillac's consumption is, but with the Ferrari, it is nearly impossible.
I'm surprised to hear that there's such a big fuel difference, but there you go. That's racing. There's not one car on track. There's multiple cars, and they all have their strengths and weaknesses. Do you think your driving and your car will suit the next tracks?
Yes, the Ferrari is it was pretty weak in slow corners. It didn't quite have the grip, but in fast corners it was way more powerful than other cars. So I don't know which one is the next track, but I hope it is filled with high speed corners.
The next track is Road Atlanta.
So that's not really suitable for
not
the Ferrari.
Not particularly, I will admit. Maybe say Mexico and Watkins Glen will be where you shine with the Ferrari, but I don't think Road Atlanta is going to be suiting those strong points.
We will see. I will try my best.
Yeah. Anything else from you, John?
No, I think just want to say congratulations on the podium, and it looked like a well-managed race. You kept yourself out of trouble and profited from other people's mistakes, which is what you've got to do. So enjoy the podium celebrations, and until next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, I think that concludes our interviews, does it, Josh?
Yeah, nobody else currently in that waiting room. But yeah, what a drive from all three of our podium drivers. They all did an exceptional job really today, and truly so. They are the three drivers on the podium. They put the drive together, and they've come out at the front.
Yeah, when you look at the gaps, obviously you had the gap between the lead two that was 1.1 seconds at the end, so it was really down to that little bit of a collision, but it can be said also Di Giovanni could have defended the position as well. Very difficult to know who would have won out, but I think Di Giovanni with the problems deserved it as much as Buller, to be fair. They both drove just a race on a different level, let's say, those two. Sirani just managed to keep it clean and profited from the mistakes. And I must admit, Thomas Jansch in P4 is not something that I expected. It kind of developed during the race. He just kept gaining positions. Other people kept losing positions, and he had the correct strategy and seemed to work for him. But big pace difference from our drivers. I think that's just drivers getting used to the cars. That will definitely compress towards the end. A great opening race. I must admit, the amount of drama that we have had in 2 hours is mesmerizing. We've had great moves, we've had great jostling for position, tremendous strategies, and just drivers demonstrating that they know what they're doing.
Yeah, and when you think back as well to the opening few laps of the race, I mean, we had crashes before the race even got started off the grid. We had multiple crashes on the opening laps. You look how much the drivers have, I guess, learned in this opening race as well. Throughout that race, towards the end as well, it was almost like we were watching an entirely different race. The drivers did such a good job today. I think they should all be very proud of themselves.
Yeah, should we get... I saw Urbanovsky join the call just a few seconds. Should we get him in for just a quick interview before we do our final bits?
Well, has he... He seems to have disappeared again.
Oh,
I'm not exactly sure how
shame.
he managed to join the call, to be honest. I'm not sure if he got dragged in by somebody else, but he has disappeared again.
Okay, well, we respect that he joined for a couple of seconds, and I just want to wish him all the best, because he had a very good race as well. Maybe the strategy not the best that time. Well, I think on that note then, it's time to put the show to a halt until next time. can you ask for any more drama and dramatic events during 2 hours? I don't think so. And I just want to thank everybody for their wonderful comments, both towards the series, toward the cars, and indeed toward us. It's the case of I tip my hat one legend to another, as the saying goes. And just want to thank everybody in chat and the moderation team for doing an amazing job as well. Josh, any closing thoughts for this?
Yeah, well, I think as it often is here at Spa, lap 1 chaos really shone through, but the driver's done a sensational job, and with the strategy as well. I think that is a defining factor throughout this race, that strategy, the call to stay out and pull the zero stop off. And I think heading into these next 3 races, the drivers are really going to start to focus on that fuel strategy, because we've seen how crucial it is. That was a massive change of position by staying out and holding off that pit stop.
Yeah, and I think the race organisers will be mulling over decisions to see what they can do to prevent that from happening. I don't think that was the plan, but hey, look, if there's a loophole, the drivers will exploit it. And, Di Giovanni, is demonstrating that to great effect. And I must say, that was a masterclass in just drama in terms of the race. And I don't think I've witnessed a more dramatic finish than that, even in the World Endurance Series. So, just credit to the drivers. But must be said, Josh, I've enjoyed very much commentating with you, and it's been a pleasure. But sadly, at some point, somebody has to put the brakes on the show until next time, and that next time will be at Road Atlanta in... I had the date up right there, in the 3rd of May, just confirming the dates for you, at exactly the same time the broadcast started today. So we've had the drama. It will continue. There's 4 rounds in the series. If you liked what you saw, feel free to subscribe and indeed like all of the live stream, the video. And I hope that you've enjoyed it as much as we have commentating it. Once again, special thank you to Josh for commentating with me. It was a great pleasure. And special thanks also to the VRC team, because this VRC ProtoH championship has just been mind-boggling for me. So from us in the commentary box, it's thank you for watching, good night, and enjoy the Easter weekend. And until next time at Road Atlanta for some more drama, it's bye-bye for now.
Under the lights, but I'm feeling alone. Lost in the crowd, yet your ghost calls me home. Echoes of laughter, memories stay, but in my heart the colors fade away. I still feel you here, oh, and every beat so close. Holding on, but I know, oh, you're just a dream I can't let go. Dancing through shadows, lost in the night, searching for you.